Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Shelter Game. I can synthesize infinitely. Chapter 71. Shaking his hand, the sword dissipated like particles of light. Bai Yi just thinks he's so damn handsome. Looking at the lich corpse on the ground, Bai Yi collected it directly. Collection successful. Close black lens bracket. You have obtained the lich's heart. Close black lens bracket. Heart of the lich. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. The core in the lich's body is the source of the lich's energy. After use, it can greatly enhance vitality and physical fitness. Close black lens bracket. Haha, there is indeed something good. Bai Yi raised his eyebrows, looking surprised. Lich is a special kind of creature. It is not born, but transformed from other creatures by consuming various materials. As a lich, one obvious characteristic is that it has a long life and can live for a long time. Many people choose to transform into lichs in order to live forever. However, the disadvantage of transforming into a lich is that there is a high probability of losing one's mind. The lich in front of him was an irrational one. It was probably the mage sealed in the sanctuary who chose to become a lich in order to survive and had no way out. As a result, he became an irrational monster. It's a pity that the biggest increase in this thing is life. Bai Yi murmured. Vitality, to put it bluntly, is lifespan. This thing is of no use to Bai Yi. He is young, strong and full of fire. A lich's heart can increase one's lifespan by at least 100 years, which shows how precious this thing is. In addition to longevity, it is also an advantage to enhance physical fitness. But let's keep it for now. Bai Yi thought for a while and put it in his backpack without intending to use it. In comparison, he felt that synthesis was definitely better. The main thing is that he doesn't need lifespan for the time being, and he is not a bad, 130-old man. It would be a waste to use such a powerful vitality on himself. If he uses it to synthesize it, he may be able to synthesize a powerful recovery skill. Even if you find suitable professional runes in the future and combine them with them, you might be able to synthesize an auxiliary profession with powerful healing capabilities. Shaking his head, Bai Yi turned and walked towards a room and began to explore the last floor. Pushing through the first room, like the previous floors, there is basically nothing to gain in the first room. So after Bai Yi found nothing, he went to the second room, found a pile of books, and put them away. Then comes the last room. It looks like this is it. Looking at the door in front of him, Bai Yi pushed it open, and the silver-white light came into view, and Bai Yi's eyes lit up. Finally I saw another silver treasure chest. Just on the desk in the room, a silver treasure box shines brightly and attracts attention. In addition to the treasure chest, there should be inheritance in this room, so Bai Yi was not in a hurry, but started looking for it. After searching around, I saw a bottle of potion in the drawer. The potion was golden and glowed like the sun. This is. Bai Yi had a vague guess in his mind, breathing quickly, and hurriedly checked the information. Holy Light Potion. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. The medicine originating from the temple is filled with the power of light. It is rumored to be the tears of angels. For ordinary people, it is a life-saving healing medicine. To monsters, it is a terrifying holy flame. Close black lens bracket. It is indeed this thing. Bai Yi looked surprised when he saw the introduction. Holy Light Potion. When you are injured, serious injuries can be cured after taking it. When faced with dark creatures, if it falls over, it will turn into a terrifying holy flame. If this thing is said to be powerful, it must be a lie. But the biggest effect on Bai Yi is synthesis. He has not forgotten that when he first synthesized the divine flame technique, he only used a bottle of divine water. The skills synthesized at that time are now very powerful in the dungeon world. Compared with the divine water, the Holy Light Potion is obviously more powerful. If used to synthesize it, the power will be terrifying. That's why he's so excited. The divine flame technique is very strong, but he certainly doesn't mind making it stronger. Moreover, the divine flame technique is really easy to use. It is a ball of flame, but it can be controlled by one's own thoughts. Moreover, because it contains terrifying high temperatures, ordinary monsters will die if it touches it. In addition, divine flame technique also has a healing effect. Same as the shadow energy cannon. A skill with multiple effects and high practicality. Bai Yi had been thinking about synthesizing the divine flame technique again before, but he didn't have good materials. Because the synthesis of divine flame technique will inevitably continue the current route of effects, it is best for the synthetic materials to be similar to divine water. Now it finally does. Holy light potion, what else is more suitable than this at the moment? Not bad, this is the right place. Bai Yi raised the corner of his mouth and put it in his backpack. Don't rush to synthesize it now, let's continue exploring. The sky will soon darken, and it won't be too late to synthesize it after the exploration is over. Next, there is the treasure chest. Bai Yi reached out and opened it with anticipation. You opened the silver treasure chest and got X5 water purification stone, X100 black iron, and X5 volcanic stone. Close black lens bracket. Hey, water purification stone. Bai Yi's eyes lit up and he suddenly smiled in surprise. All the materials for the water purification device are ready, but this is what we are waiting for. It's a shame there aren't more goodies. Once this treasure chest is opened, the exploration here is complete. After looking around and making sure there was nothing else to gain here, Bai Yi turned and left. It's time to go to the next one. Follow the stairs back to the bottom floor and leave the tower. Bai Yi looked at another one nearby and walked straight away. After stepping into the gate, what is in front of you is a metal passage leading to the ground. Bai Yi touched his chin, thoughtfully. It seems like there should be a bunker under this tower. Taking a deep breath, Bai Yi walked down. It's very quiet here, only the sound of the characters' moving footsteps is heard. As they continue to advance, there is a closed metal door at the end with a button on the side. After Bai Yi approached, he reached out and pressed the button. With a bang, the metal door slowly opened. Inside the door is an empty research base. A familiar double-blade robot was standing in the corner of the research base. As the door opened, a light slowly appeared in its eyes, as if waking up from a deep sleep, and it locked on Bai Yi for an instant. Invaders, destroy them. The mechanical sound came out, the robot waved its hands, condensed the sharp laser knives, and then rushed straight towards Bai Yi. There is actually a big guy. Bai Yi raised the corner of his mouth, showing no fear. Holding the staff, he performed shadow shuttle the moment the double-blade robot approached and disappeared from the spot. With a pop, the two swords wielded by the double-blade robot missed, but cut smooth cuts into the metal door frame. The next moment, Bai Yi appeared behind it. Looking at the incision, he was shocked. Then he sneered, waved his staff, and a golden and white fire dragon roared away, swallow it directly. Die to me. Boom. The hot and raging flames instantly ignited the robot. Kill the intruder. The double-blade robot didn't care at all, and turned around to strike with its sword. The sound of whistling through the air was so fast, like a cold light, that it almost hit Bai Yi, but fortunately Bai Yi's reaction was not slow. Shadow travel. With a swish sound, he immediately disappeared and dodged the blow. It's so dangerous. As a mage, I'm more suitable for long-range combat. Bai Yi patted his chest, and while the double-blade robot was facing away from him, he raised the corners of his mouth, waved his staff, and prepared to use the shadow energy cannon. But at this moment, a bang sounded behind Bai Yi. It was as if something had fallen to the ground. Bai Yi looked back subconsciously, and his expression suddenly changed. Damn it, why do you still have one? At some unknown time, the other robot with two swords was standing behind him, the light in its pupils was blood red, and the two swords were waving crosswise without any hesitation. With such a distance and such a fast speed, Bai Yi couldn't react at all. Puff. The screen went black, and then blood red appeared. Open black lens bracket, you are dead. Close black lens bracket. Depend on. I've already passed 3 tests, why are there 2 big guys waiting for me? Bai Yi threw away his phone with a curse, picked up the coke next to him and drank it in a big gulp, rubbing his sore neck with a look of helplessness on his face. I was still thinking of getting the treasures in the bunker today, but it seems I can only wait until tomorrow. Fortunately, this is a game, and there are not many players. They are basically not spread out in one area, so there is no need to worry about other players getting there first. And even if there are other players, just with those 2 double-blade robots, they are probably looking for death. So Bai Yi is not in a hurry. Just in time, it's almost time. Let's rest for a while, prepare dinner, and then start compositing. Bai Yi shook his head, took a deep breath, lay on the bed and rested. By the way, I was thinking about how to synthesize it today. He has 3 more synthesis times today. The divine flame technique needs to be synthesized. Then there's nightweed. For the rest, let's see what the night grass can be synthesized first. Thinking of this, Bai Yi picked up the phone again and entered the game. With the death of the game character, the screen has returned to the shelter owner. Yu Yi's figure appeared, looking at Bai Yi outside through the screen, and shouted excitedly. Hearing this, Bai Yi also showed a smile on his face. Yi, how was it in the shelter today? Very good. Nothing happened. It's just boring. That's fine. Bai Yi nodded and smiled. Please bear with it for a while. I really can't go in and accompany you during this period, but it will be fine after a while. Yeah, Yu Yi knows. Yi nodded with a well-behaved look on her face. After chatting with Yu Yi for a while, Bai Yi began to open his backpack. Let's start with the night wormwood. Bai Yi touched his chin and found the nightshade seeds. There are not many seeds in his backpack, only 12, but it is still enough for synthesis. Click, select, and synthesize directly. Bai Yi's mood was calm without any fluctuation. Because it's just an attempt. He can accept whatever is synthesized. And this kind of tentative synthesis is necessary. As compositing begins, a shimmer immediately appears on the screen. Immediately afterwards, a prompt popped up. Synthesis successful. Close black lens bracket. You have obtained moongrass seeds. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket moonlight grass seeds. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. Moonlight grass is named after it emits moonlight. The light it emits will make people feel peaceful. Close black lens bracket. Moonlight grass. Bai Yi's eyes flashed slightly, and he touched his chin with a thoughtful expression. This name seems a bit familiar. Mia, come here. Bai Yi shouted towards the living room. Soon, Mia flew over with a flutter, holding a bright red strawberry in her hand, took a bite and said doubtfully. Bai Yi, what are you calling me for? Ask you a question. Do you know what moonlight grass does? Bai Yi is very sure that he is indeed familiar with moonlight grass, but he just can't remember it. It's too long ago. This shows that moonlight grass may have some effect, but it is not very effective, so the memory is not deep enough. Moonlight grass, Mia said strangely. Moonlight grass, I remember, is a potion ingredient. I used to grow it often, and many elves like to eat it, especially dark elves. Formation materials. That's it. Bai Yi suddenly remembered it. Moonlight grass is one of the ingredients of Tranquility Potion. This 2.6 potion has 2 effects, one is to tranquilize the mind, and the other is to restore magic power. The latter does not restore much, and the main effect is the former. But there are not many applicable occasions for the former. It is a potion of low value. From this point of view, the value of moonlight grass is not high, but the synthesis route is feasible. Compared with moongrass, nightweed is the real roadside weed, but it has an extra glowing effect compared to weeds, but it has no effect. After synthesis, the moonlight grass has the function of becoming a pharmaceutical material, and its value is greatly increased. In this way, if you continue to synthesize according to this route, the probability of obtaining extraordinary plants is very high. But let's synthesize the skills first. Bai Yi smiled. After all, it is not synthesized much today, and it has to be used in other places. It's enough to try it first this time. You can synthesize it again as many times as you have in the future. Thinking of this, Bai Yi clicked on the attribute bar, found Divine Flame Technique, and clicked to select. Then he opened the backpack again, found the Holy Light Potion inside, clicked to select it, and then started to synthesize it. A soft glow emanates. Bai Yi rubbed his hands and began to wait for the results. Compared with the calmness when he was synthesizing night wormwood before, this time he was inevitably a little nervous, and there was a trace of expectation. After all, the value of Divine Flame Technique is completely different from that of Night Yingxiao. As the light fades, the prompt suddenly appeared. Synthesis successful. Close black lens bracket. You have obtained the sacred flame. Close black lens bracket. Holy flame. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. The flame from the angel is a judgment against darkness. It not only has blazing high temperature, but can also heal the injured. Close black lens bracket. Haha, it's exactly what I thought. Seeing the result of the synthesis, Bai Yi suddenly smiled happily. Demonstrating the staff, Bai Yi quickly swung it and unleashed the sacred flames. Pure golden flames suddenly appeared in front of him. It was just a ball of flames the size of a fist, but it was emitting blazing heat, and even the air was rippled. Although there were no enemies to test its power, Bai Yi could already feel that its power was much more powerful than the divine flame technique. If the damage is like this, the healing ability is self-evident. That's right, wait until you are resurrected tomorrow, and then go find those two big guys to settle the accounts. How dare you sneak attack me? Thinking of the double-blade robot that killed him with one blow, Bai Yi grinned. He felt ashamed when he thought about being killed by a sneak attack or something. After all, I was also a reborn person, but I didn't expect that I would die due to carelessness. But luckily it's in the game. Taking a deep breath, Bai Yi gathered his mind and continued to start the final synthesis. Volcanic stone plus magma wine. Close black lens bracket. Click compose. Synthesis successful. Close black lens bracket. You have obtained the blood of dwarves. Close black lens bracket. Blood of dwarves. Bai Yi raised his eyebrows and suddenly showed a surprised expression. This is not really the blood of a dwarf, but a famous drinker. He had heard of it in his previous life, and it seemed to have a very powerful effect. I didn't expect that magma wine plus volcanic rocks can be combined. But I got a new synthesis route. Bai Yi raised the corner of his mouth, smiled slightly, and immediately clicked on the message to check it. The blood of dwarves. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. The wine brewed by the dwarves and considered the most delicious is an indispensable luxury in the lives of many dwarves. At the same time, the dwarves also believe that it is the blood flowing in the dwarves' bodies. Without it, the dwarves will no longer owe to happiness. Close black lens bracket. Effect. After taking it, the strength will increase by 50%, and the power of fire attribute moves will increase by 30%, lasting for half an hour. Close black lens bracket. Hiss, so fierce. Bai Yi's eyes widened and he looked stunned. He didn't know the effect of dwarf blood, but he knew it was powerful, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful. Not only does the damage of the fire move increase by 30%, it can also increase the strength, and the degree of increase is also not low. It's no wonder so many people praised me in my previous life. It's a pity that I don't have the recipe for magma wine. Otherwise, by relying on synthesis, even if 5 bottles are synthesized every day, a lot of precious resources can be traded. But fortunately, he already has a way to synthesize it. Next, he only needs to find a way to obtain the formula of magma wine. Even if he can't get it, buying some magma wine to synthesize it will still make a lot of money. This is equivalent to the alchemists in some novels who buy medicinal materials at low prices, refine them into elixirs, and sell them at high prices. The profits can be called huge profits. Moreover, the effect of dwarf blood is powerful, and at the same time, when used for synthesis, there may be unexpected surprises. But let's keep this bottle for now. Bai Yi grinned. It was just a bottle. He couldn't bear to synthesize it for the time being. Maybe it would be useful in the future. But if that didn't work, it's okay to taste it for a while. After all, rebirth and enjoying life are also one of his goals. It was getting late, the sky was covered with clouds, and a cool breeze blew, making people shiver involuntarily. Sitting on the sofa in front of the TV in the living room, Mia shook her body and huddled into the tiger cub's thick hair. She suddenly felt extremely warm and smiled comfortably. Gu. Suddenly, her stomach growled, and she subconsciously looked in the direction of Bai Yi, wanting Bai Yi to prepare fresh fruit. But seeing Bai Yi busy with her mobile phone, Mia decided to endure it. At this time, Bai Yi put away the blood of the dwarf, took out the blueprint of the water purification device, and used it directly against the synthesis box. Now that the materials have been gathered, it is natural to use them as soon as possible. In addition to investing materials such as water purification stones, 5 special materials are also required. Bai Yi touched his chin and started thinking. Mithril is not suitable. Orichalcum, you can consider it. Volcanic stone can also be considered. Magic stone. Bai Yi's eyes brightened slightly, feeling that magic stone seemed better than volcanic stone and orichalcum. Just the magic stone. Bai Yi has always been looking at a feeling. Although he doesn't know what effect using magic stone will have, he doesn't know what effect using volcanic stone and orichalcum will have. While the magic stone is currently unused, the orichalcum and volcanic stone are important for drawings. It's better to just use magic stones. At least compared to materials like mithril that don't seem to match, magic stone is easier to look forward to. Of course, the purification stone is actually the most suitable, but there is no one, so I can only make do with it. Thinking of this, Bai Yi took out 5 magic stones, put them in, and started to transform them. After some operations, Bai Yi clicked OK. With a bang, a dazzling light immediately appeared on the phone screen. When the light fades, Bai Yi immediately looked at the phone and found that there were 3 white water tanks next to the wall of the living room. Each water tank had a water pipe connected to each other, and had about a cubic space. There were pipes connected to the top and bottom of the water tank. The upper pipe is connected to the top of the watchtower. The pipes below are connected to the water pipes in the shelter. The upper water pipe can automatically collect rainwater when it rains. After it is collected into the water tank will filter and purify it, and then flow down through the lower water pipe. At the same time, you can also collect sewage yourself and put it into the water tank to purify it. With this water tank, you basically don't have to worry about water problems in the future. Even after darkness falls, although we are in the game now, it is very easy to collect water in the game. Apart from anything else, Bai Yi encounters a lot of ponds in the game, but because he is in a dark place, the water in these ponds is somewhat contaminated by evil forces and cannot be consumed. But it can evolve if put in a water tank. I'll collect some when I go out tomorrow and put them in the water tank when I get back. Then I don't have to worry about the situation in the greenhouse. Thinking of this, Bai Yi raised the corners of his mouth and smiled. Immediately, something moved in his mind, and the information about the water purification filtration device also appeared in front of him. Open black lens bracket water purification filtration device. Close black lens bracket. Description. Shelter building. Close black lens bracket. Entry 1. Purification can purify polluted water sources. Close black lens bracket. Entry 2. Full of magic power. Purified water source contains tiny magic power. Long-term use can increase the magic power to a very small extent. Entry 3. The gift of magic power. Watering plants with purified water sources may cause the plants to mutate. Close black lens bracket. Entry 1 was within Bai Yi's expectation. It was just the effect of the water purification stone. But the second entry and the third entry made the expression of surprise appear on his face again. Is it because of the magic stone? The purified water actually contains magic power. Can long-term consumption increase the magic power? Although the increase is not low. But you must know that the shelter is Bai Yi's home in the future. And it is the home where I have always lived. With long-term accumulation, there will definitely be a considerable increase. The most critical thing is actually entry 3. It can actually mutate plants. Although this mutation is not towards the extraordinary, if you take Bai Yi's synthetic hand into account, it will be different. As long as the mutated plant has some effects, there is a high probability of bringing surprises after synthesis. To sum up, choosing magic stone as a material this time is totally wrong. It seems that my intuition is still very accurate. Bai Yi touched his nose and raised a smug smile on his lips. Bai Yi looked at the remaining drawings in the backpack. Spa, study, purify the passage. The hot spring is almost here. The purification channel is far from perfect. As for the study room, open black lens bracket study. Close black lens bracket. Note, the special building of the shelter can be used for synthesis boxes. Close black lens bracket. Materials required. Wood X1000, book X1000 optional, special material X10. Close black lens bracket. The study is actually not far behind the construction. There is definitely no shortage of wood or anything like that. As for books, they are still far behind. But next, whether it is an academic bunker or another high tower, I can get a lot of books if I think about it. Not to mention there is a dark elf town, where you can definitely get a lot of books. The main thing is the type of book and the special material. Book types are like magic books, popular science books, etc. If there are many books of any type, you will get corresponding entries, and the same is true for materials. Of course, materials are more important. And there are really not many materials suitable for matching the study room. Or metals may not be suitable for the study. Some special woods may be best. It's just that in the dark land, wood is more rare than ore metals. Bai Yi sighed and shook his head. It just depends on fate. Putting away the drawings, Bai Yi took a deep breath and put down the phone. It's late and it's time to prepare dinner. After walking out of the room, Mia, who had been turning her head to look here from time to time, suddenly flew over eagerly and circled around him. Bai Yi, hungry. Bai Yi rolled his eyes, grabbed the back of Mia's neck and raised it in front of him, and asked funny ly. Where did you learn this refrain? Repetition. Are you hungry? It's on TV. Mia narrowed her eyes and said with a smile. Mia thinks this way of speaking is cute, doesn't Bai Yi think so? Cute, that's you. Bai Yi chuckled, twisted his nose, and smiled. Okay, let's continue watching TV. I'll prepare dinner for you right away. Great, I like you, Bai Yi. Hearing this, Mia showed a happy smile on her face, immediately gave Bai Yi a scent, and then went to watch TV. Touching the kissed area on his face, Bai Yi laughed, then walked into the kitchen, and made a phone call to have some fruit delivered. After a lot of work, the dining table was filled with windy leaves. There are 2 pots of raw beef, one big and one small. The big one belongs to the tiger mother, and the small one belongs to the tiger cub. As the tiger mother has sufficient nutrition, the little guy is full from milk and has developed a lot, so he can try to eat meat. There is also a fruit basket, which is filled with fresh fruits. Bai Yi spent a lot of money to have these specially sent to him. As for Bai Yi's own dinner, it was chicken stewed with mushrooms, braised pork, green vegetables, plus a roast duck, either homemade or ordered from takeaway. It seems like a lot, but Bai Yi can really eat it. With his current physique, as long as he wants to eat, his appetite is really no less than that of a tiger mother. It just depends on whether you want it or not. It's okay not to eat too much, as long as you don't consume much every day. I was in a good mood today, so I cooked so much. It's time to eat. Bai Yi took off his apron, knocked on the table and shouted. The tiger mother, tiger cub and Mia, who smelled the scent, ran out quickly. After seeing Bai Yi nodding, he immediately started eating. Bai Yi also enjoyed a delicious dinner and browsed the forum with his mobile phone. As the news of the trade fair spread, the forum became more lively. The first post pinned to the top is the official post of the trade fair, which contains the time and address. It also expresses its apology for the last market and also explains that there will be absolutely no accidents this time. And made a guarantee. A video was also released showing the defense force this time. In the video, several people showed off their powerful supernatural power zones as soon as they appeared. Someone fired a fireball, blowing up a car instantly. Someone struck out with a sword, sending out a slash that split the ground. Someone else fired a sword and passed through the flying bullets. Bai Yi narrowed his eyes and saw Nimang's figure inside, holding a long bow, carrying a quiver on his back, with his long hair tied into a ponytail, looking heroic. It seems like she got the previous ranger rune. Hold a bow and shoot arrows. Apart from people without professions in the game, only rangers are like this. At the end of the video, Bai Yi was also mentioned, indicating that he would also participate in this trade fair. The comments section is lively. Holy crap, is our magic city officially so powerful? There are actually so many extraordinary beings. Hey, is this extraordinary power? It's awesome. Woo, can I get extraordinary props by joining the official? If possible, I am willing to join the official. To be honest, I didn't want to go at first. After all, I was a survivor last time, but this time it seems that the official has done enough to ensure that the big guys are going, so I will go too. If you go upstairs, I'll go too. Everyone has gone, I will definitely go too. Ha ha ha, I have been exploring like crazy in the past 2 days, just to prepare for this trade fair, and found a lot of materials, hoping to trade a weapon. It seems that this wave of official guarantees has played a big role. Bai Yi murmured. Many people in the forum chose to go. Of course, most of the time it is impossible not to go. Many people in the forum already know that players can obtain resources by fighting each other. Under such circumstances, they must be eager to become stronger. At this time, if you want to become stronger, the only way is to obtain props in the game. Trading with other strangers is very risky. For official trade fairs, there is no need to worry about this. Although the market was dangerous last time, most people still have a certain degree of confidence in the authorities. They feel that after the first accident, the authorities will not let this happen again. It can also be seen from the video just now that in addition to extraordinary strength, there are also official soldiers with real guns and live ammunition, giving people a sense of security. Bai Yi closed the post and continued browsing the forum. Soon, another post caught his attention. Woohoo, brothers, take off. Ha ha ha, without further ado, let me attach a picture first. This is not a player, but a human being I met in the game. There is a picture at the beginning of the post. The picture shows a wanderer wearing broken armor and carrying a big sword, with information attached. Open black lens bracket Theodore. Close black lens bracket. Level 1. Close black lens bracket. Extraordinary profession. Warrior, no professional rune bonus. Close black lens bracket. Skills. Fighting spirit burst, sword energy slashing. Close black lens bracket. Although this human being does not have extraordinary professional bonuses, he still has the strength equivalent to obtaining basic professional runes and is a real warrior. But brothers, you must not know what is the most important thing, right? Ha ha ha, the most important thing is that I have recruited him and he has joined my sanctuary. There are many comments below the post. I vomited, why is my game completely different from yours? That's right, you guys are so lucky, right? It makes me sick. Emperor O must go to hell. Damn it, this is the first time I know that this game can recruit people. Why haven't I encountered it? Woohoo, with this kind of strength, wouldn't it give me a sense of security when I go out to explore? My eyes are red. No, I've been playing games since early in the morning, and I'm a little sleepy and want to sleep. After reading your post, I just want to say, I'm sorry, labor and management must continue to get up and explore the game, and labor and management must also recruit wanderers. Many people feel envious and jealous of this. But Bai Yi is okay, after all, he already has Rice and Tiger Mother day and night. In terms of pure strength, the Tiger Mother is much more powerful than this warrior. Of course, if this Theodore was fair-skinned and beautiful with long legs, that would be a different matter. Bai Yi would probably be envious of him. But speaking of which, this guy can even check his attributes. It seems that the shelter has already evolved once. Bai Yi touched his chin and murmured. Only the evolved shelter has the contract function enabled. After contracting with someone, you can view the other person's information. Like Bai Yi, Tiger Mothers can't see their own situation now. I'm afraid they evolved more than once. Maybe some people in the Chable group have evolved 2 or 3 times. After all, they have no shortage of resources in this area. But more is unlikely. The further you evolve and upgrade, the more resources you need. Let alone evolution, it will be difficult to even upgrade once. I don't know if these guys will regret it when darkness falls. Now that the number of evolutions has increased, it's okay if you get the corresponding entry. If you don't, like the Juling entry, then wait for darkness to fall and encounter an evil ghost attack. Hee. Bai Yi smiled and shook his head. It had nothing to do with him anyway, so he didn't think about it any further. As I browsed the forum, time flies. Before I knew it, the night was getting darker. Bai Yi also felt sleepy. After taking a shower and drying his hair, Bai Yi went back to bed. After watching videos for a while, he fell asleep. In a blink of an eye, a new day arrives. Early morning. Bai Yi yawned and woke up from his deep sleep. After rubbing his groggy eyes, he picked up the phone next to the pillow and took a look. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, it's early. The door won't open until 8 o'clock. Let's brush our teeth and wash our face first. Quote. After patting his cheek, Bai Yi calmly got up, washed up, and prepared breakfast. After eating and drinking, it was almost 8 o'clock. After including Mia, Tiger Mother and the others in the game, Bai Yi also went out and headed straight to the fair. This trade fair is the base of the Magic City Night Watch. It is located in an office building, and an entire floor inside is vacant to serve as the venue for the trade fair. When Bai Yi came here, he saw many people walking into the office building with nervous or expectant faces. Just from the emotion alone, you can tell that these people are players. There are also some people wearing casual clothes, standing randomly in various places downstairs, but their eyes are always patrolling the surroundings. These people should be security guards. Ordinary people are naturally unable to detect it, but Bai Yi's physical strength is so strong that his senses are beyond ordinary people's and he can easily notice some details. But that's fine. In the real world, today's Bai Yi can do nothing without taking action. In a society governed by the rule of law, it is best to be a stable, law-abiding citizen. If you go too far, you might be regarded as the first person. Shaking his head, Bai Yi stepped into the office building, walked into the elevator, and headed to the 10th floor. In addition to Bai Yi, there were 3 other people in the elevator, a young man wearing glasses, a burly man, and a young girl who looked like a student. A young man wearing glasses looked excited. After looking around, he asked in a low voice, "Everyone is a player?" "Of course." The strong man grinned and nodded. "Only us players will come here today." "Hee, that's true." The young man scratched his head and smiled. "This is my first time at the trade fair. I heard that there will be a lot of good stuff here. I wonder if I can find a batch of weapons." "It doesn't matter, it's my first time too, but I collected a lot of information in the forum before coming here, so I know a lot about the trade fair." The strong man looked like he had a ferocious face, but he was not a bad person, he explained to the young man. "This trade fair, I heard that although many players will set up stalls, most players will not have any good things in their hands, and they will keep them for themselves. Most of them have the same idea as you, in order to win from other players. Good things come into people's hands. So when we get there later, we can just browse some stalls for ordinary players. What is really important is the stalls set up by some big guys and powerful people." Hearing this, the young man was surprised. A big force? Is there still such a thing in this game? Stupid, there is no union system in this game. Where are the guilds? I mean Penguin, Yida, etc., and there are official stalls. These are big forces that have already settled in the game. They set up stalls. Although they certainly don't have powerful weapons, there are still some ordinary weapons. Including officials. Of course, these are secondary. The most important thing is some lone wolf bosses. They are strong and get a lot of good things. Therefore, if they can't use them, they will choose to sell them. I heard that last time there is a big boss who sold a few weapons and a set of armor. The guy who bought the armor took this opportunity to explore a village, found several treasure chests and opened a weapon. Now I kill monsters every day, get some materials, explore a little more, and show off on the forum every day. I'm living a comfortable life. He was using his mobile phone to control the character while walking around the shelter. Unexpectedly, he suddenly heard someone talking about him next to him, and he couldn't help but smile, feeling a strange feeling. But he immediately put away his phone and didn't think about it anymore. The elevator has arrived. The heat wave is coming. The noise reached my ears. The space on this floor is wide, and it is like a huge vegetable market at the moment, with people coming and going. Players have already stood in front of many stalls, taking items out of their backpacks and placing them on the stalls, shouting to attract the attention of other players. "Let's go, brother, come with me. Let's go to the official stall and watch." The strong man rubbed his hands, with an excited smile on his face, and immediately pulled the young man and shouted. The young man nodded and quickly followed. Seeing this, Bai Yi's eyes flickered, and he left the elevator with a hint of expectation and walked forward. He is now very curious about the surprise Nimeng said. Nimeng had said before that there would be a surprise reward when he came, but he didn't know what it would be. After walking for a while, Bai Yi saw Nimeng inside. Compared to the last time when the market was very busy, this time Nimeng was extremely leisurely, sitting in a pavilion that looked like a security booth, looking at the monitor screen on the computer, and drinking a drink. Properly acting like a leader. Bai Yi came to the bedside, leaned against the window and asked with a smile. "Have you been promoted?" The sudden sound startled Nimeng. After seeing Bai Yi, he calmed down, rolled his eyes and said scolded. "Come as soon as you come, how can you scare me when you are so good?" "I didn't scare you, you were just too absorbed in watching the surveillance." Bai Yi shrugged, looking innocent. "It would be weird to believe you." Nimeng did not dwell on this topic. Instead, she raised her bright red lips and showed a beautiful smile. She stood up and came to the window to approach Bai Yi. He asked with a low laugh. "You are here at the trade fair. Do you have anything good to offer? If possible, please consider me." The official side of the Magic City has long received the news that Bai Yi can forge extraordinary weapons, and their attention to Bai Yi has reached a new level. It's not just the Magic City, it's all serving Daxia. There is no uncirculated information in the official system, and many night watchmen in other cities also know about it. They are all asking the Magic City to pay attention. If there are many extraordinary weapons, remember not to forget them. Sashi was looking forward to Bai Yi very much at this trade fair. Hearing Ni Meng's words, Bai Yi raised the corners of his mouth. We'll talk about this later. You haven't told me what the surprise is yet. Don't forget that the official still owes me a reward. Don't worry, it won't happen. Ni Meng waved in a funny way and asked Bai Yi to come into the pavilion. Then he picked up his phone, took out 5 hot dogs from his game backpack and handed them over. Bai Yi suddenly looked confused. Don't tell me this is my reward. If it were true, I might have the idea of killing someone. Ni Meng covered her mouth and chuckled. Giggles, you'd better take a look at the attributes first, this is no ordinary food. Oh, hearing this, Bai Yi seemed to have thought of something, his eyes lit up, and he immediately picked up his phone and pointed it at the hot dog to check. Open black lens bracket delicious hot dogs. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. The hot dogs made by highly skilled chefs are made of special materials. They are delicious and can warm the body and mind. They are not afraid of the cold and increase the number of calories at the same time. 5% elemental Wang Jiao is good resistance, lasting for half an hour. Close black lens bracket. Special cuisine. Bai Yi looked surprised and asked. Do you officially have a chef profession? Chef, is there such a profession? Ni Meng also showed a surprised expression. Seeing this, Bai Yi looked enlightened after thinking for a while. It doesn't look like that, so he is a wanderer. Ni Meng was even more surprised and looked at Bai Yi blankly. It seems that Bai Yi guessed it in an instant. That's right. The official has indeed recruited a wanderer, who is not a chef, but has the ability to make special dishes. This hot dog was made by the wanderer. In fact, the wanderer can make more powerful dishes, but the materials are limited, so he can only make hot dogs at the moment. But Bai Yi can guess it directly, and the meaning of this is not simple. You must know that currently, not many people in the world know that there are people in the game who can make dishes with special abilities. Ni Meng was surprised. How much do you really know about this game? As an official member, she felt like she didn't know as much about the game as Bai Yi did. Hearing this, Bai Yi smiled slightly. Well, it's not much. After all, you also know that my strength is somewhat strong, so I explore more places than before. The deeper you are, the more you will understand, haha. A little bit stronger. Can you also say this? Ni Meng immediately rolled his eyes at Bai Yi. But he couldn't help but think about it in his heart. From what he said, it can be concluded that Yi does understand a lot of the situation in the game. Perhaps, we can trade information with him. Ni Meng shook his head. Although Bai Yi may know a lot of information, this aspect of the transaction is not urgent yet. In contrast, she is more interested in the good things in Bai Yi's hands. I've given you your reward, now can you tell me what you're going to do? There was an expectant look on her face. Hearing this, Bai Yi raised the corner of his mouth, but without concealing it, he took out the laser sword and energy star cannon directly from his backpack. Let's see. 1. Needless to say, Bai Yi said that the moment Bai Yi took it out, Ni Meng's eyes lit up and he immediately started checking it. After reading it, Ni Meng's eyes widened with an expression of joy. So strong. Just by reading the introduction, she already knew how powerful these two weapons were. What's more, these two weapons themselves have technology in them, and the reality is still a world that focuses on the development of technology, and there is sufficient understanding of some technologies. So after reading it, Ni Meng was moved. These two weapons may not be extraordinary weapons, and they do not have extraordinary power, but they are comparable to extraordinary weapons. Even in some respects, it is more powerful. Especially energy cannons. This thing is named after a cannon, so it can be imagined that its power is definitely not weak. The only disadvantage is that there is a limit on the number of times. When the times are used up, you need to replenish energy. However, Ni Meng was not anxious about this, but asked. I wonder what you want to trade. Marble, obsidian, basic resources. Of course, special materials are also available, not only ores, but also some precious woods. The latter is required for normal transactions. In the former case, Bai Yi considered that he would soon transform the shelter. After the transformation, the shelter would begin to evolve and upgrade, which would require a large amount of basic resources. So you can reserve some in advance now to avoid the trouble of having to find someone to buy it later. By the way, among the special materials, it would be better if there is a purification stone. Bai Yi thought of the drawing of the purification channel and mentioned it again. As for the room drawings of the natural forest, since we don't need it now, we won't build it for the time being. Hearing this, Ni Meng said with excitement on his face. Are you sure the basic resources are also available? Certainly. Bai Yi nodded and said. But you should know that if you want to use basic resources to trade the weapons in my hand, it will take a lot. I know, you don't have to worry about this. Apart from anything else, the government will definitely not be short of basic resources. I know this very well. Bai Yi nodded. It's official after all. There are not many others, but there are definitely many players. Players collect a little bit every day, which is a huge number. Ni Meng immediately called and asked someone to prepare resources first. After the call was completed, he looked at Bai Yi again and narrowed his eyes. Bai Yi, these 2 weapons of yours are very strong. I want them all. Is that okay? Of course it's no problem, as long as you have enough resources. Bai Yi naturally wouldn't mind if someone sent resources to his door. Ni Meng naturally didn't know this, but after hearing Bai Yi's words, he nodded with satisfaction, and then began to determine the price with Bai Yi. Bai Yi, the price of each of your 2 weapons is 30,000 for wood and stone resources, and 10,000 for iron. How about that? Not really. Bai Yi refused without hesitation. Want to buy 2 energy weapons at this price? Obviously, don't even think about it. How about sending him away as a beggar? Ni Meng said helplessly. Your 2 weapons are indeed powerful, but unfortunately there is a limit to the number of times they can be used, and replenishing energy is obviously not something you can do just by replenishing it. We don't have props to replenish energy. When the times are used up, these 2 weapons will become useless. You should also know this. Bai Yi took a deep look at Ni Meng and said, Of course I know, but the value of these 2 weapons is not just that. What do you mean? I don't understand. Ni Meng looked puzzled. Hearing this, Bai Yi raised the corners of his mouth and smiled softly. You really don't understand. The expression on Ni Meng's face remained unchanged. Seeing this, Bai Yi curled his lips and put the weapon back into his backpack. Since you don't understand, I won't sell it now. Anyway, I can't sell it at the price I want. ACB. With that said, Bai Yi made a gesture of turning around and leaving. Ni Meng hurriedly reached out and grabbed Bai Yi's clothes. Don't worry, if the price is not right, we can talk about it again. Bargaining is just a price for you and me for a price. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Anxiety flashed in her eyes. Head, lost, okay, Ni Meng, let's open the door and talk. You should be very clear about the value of these 2 weapons. Its value lies not only in its own power, but more importantly in that it is a technological weapon. I think you should understand what I mean. Ahem, I know. An awkward smile appeared on Ni Meng's face. Bai Yi has said this, which means that the elimination of these 2 weapons means something. In this case, she can no longer hide it. To ordinary people, these 2 weapons are powerful weapons. But Ni Meng is different. Ni Meng represents the government, which is a huge organization and can also be regarded as a huge force. Such a huge force in the real society never thinks about the power of one person, but the whole. If you want to improve the overall situation, there are only a few ways. The simplest is to upgrade your equipment. Just like today's army, the more powerful the equipment, the stronger the strength. It is also for this reason that these 2 weapons are given other values. Technology. That's right. As weapons embodied in the real world of Dark Land, both laser swords and energy cannons contain technologies that are not available in this era. This is the most important. As long as there is a sufficient scientific team, it can be disassembled and used for research after getting it. Although it cannot be 100% studied. But as long as you can learn 1 or 2 technologies from it, you can enhance the power of the entire country. Bai Yi knew this very well, so for Ni Meng's price, he couldn't even hope to win these 2 weapons. But now that everyone is talking openly, Nimeng no longer wastes time. After thinking about it, he said directly, "Since you also understand the value contained in these two weapons, I won't talk nonsense. How about a fixed price of 100,000 pieces of wood and stone for each weapon, plus 30,000 pieces of iron? This price is definitely very high. Even though stone and wood are basic resources, they are easy to collect. But 100,000 is definitely not a small amount. If Bai Yi collects it by himself, it will take a lot of time. The most important thing is iron. There seems to be a lot of iron on Bai Yi's body, but compared to wood and stone, it is much more difficult to find, and it is also very difficult to use. Because iron is used in many places. Whether it's building a building, upgrading and evolving a shelter, or synthesizing Bai Yi itself. An ordinary player can collect 1 or 200 iron a day, which is actually pretty good. This shows that the number of 30,000 pieces of iron is very large. But Bai Yi frowned and said, "These are enough, but marble and obsidian must be added." Hearing this, Nimeng pondered for a while and nodded. "Okay, plus 3,000 marbles and obsidian each, will it be no problem?" Although obsidian and marble are considered rare, they are just ordinary stones after all. The official still has a lot of reserves, so they can be taken out. As long as you can get these two weapons, everything is worth it. A smile appeared on Bai Yi's face and he nodded. "Okay, I agree." Nimeng's eyes suddenly flashed with excitement, and he called again and asked someone to send the resources. After hanging up the phone, Nimeng asked Bai Yi to wait for a while and started talking. "To be honest, Bai Yi, you should have energy replenishing items in your hand, right?" "Have." Bai Yi nodded and didn't hide anything. "Really?" Nimeng was surprised. After all, she was just guessing. But after getting a positive answer, he felt a little moved and asked. Quote? Bai Yi chuckled. "Don't think about it. It won't be sold. It's useful to me." Bai Yi himself doesn't have many energy crystals, but they are a good thing for replenishing energy. He may need them for his own synthesis in the future, but he won't trade them for some resources. Although he had expected it, Nimeng still looked disappointed. Then they showed off the official products that will be put up for sale this time. Except for some special dishes. There are also various ordinary weapons, such as rusty iron swords, broadswords, etc. But what surprised Bai Yi was that there were a large number of recovery potions, as well as some sophisticated iron swords, iron knives, etc. "I'm afraid you met more than one homeless person?" Bai Yi asked thoughtfully. Nimeng smiled but did not answer or explain. But Bai Yi has already got the answer from it. It seems true. It's hard to say when it comes to weapons. It's most likely that they were created by the players trained by the official. With the accumulation of a large amount of resources, it's not impossible to cultivate some players who can create ordinary weapons such as iron swords and iron knives in such a short period of time. Possible. Even in Bai Yi's opinion, not having it is abnormal. In addition to the official, maybe after a while, some groups will also have similar talents. But for medicines and such, in Bai Yi's opinion, a pharmacist must have been recruited. After all, the quantity of this potion is quite large, and it is also a potion that is traded. Being able to sell them means that the official has more internal quantities for its own people to use. A cook, a pharmacist. This is what I saw and what I didn't see. All I can say is that the official is worthy of being official. Such a huge organization is finally starting to exert its efforts. If nothing else happens, once it starts to exert force, it will enter a period of rapid development. But unfortunately, accidents always come so suddenly. Thinking of the time when darkness would fall, Day and Night secretly shook his head. At that time, no matter what force or country, they will collapse. Everything will be reshuffled. But this has nothing to do with myself. Just some emotion. In the next period of time, the officials will probably be able to get a lot of good things with these special props. But this is also good for Bai Yi. There are so many good things in the official hands, can they still have more than him? If you lack anything at that time, you can get it from the official hands. It's better than spreading the news yourself and looking for people to trade. While he was deep in thought, an official came from outside the pavilion. After seeing Nimeng, he bowed and asked, "Sir, the resources have been delivered. What's next?" "Give him all your resources." Ni Meng pointed at Bai Yi and ordered directly. Hearing this, someone is coming. Nod and immediately transfer all resources to Bai Yi. After accepting, Bai Yi also handed the 2 weapons to Ni Meng. Smiles appeared on both of their faces. By the way, I'm also going to rent a stall. After the transaction ended, Bai Yi also revealed another purpose. Hearing this, Ni Meng looked startled. Didn't you sell everything to me? Why do you still want? Before he finished speaking, Ni Meng seemed to have thought of something, and resentment suddenly appeared in his eyes. She has traded with Bai Yi several times. What she doesn't understand is that Bai Yi has better things in his hands, but he doesn't want to contact the official transaction privately, but wants to attract more people to the public. People compete to gain greater benefits. Bai Yi felt Ni Meng's gaze and twitched the corner of his mouth. Ahem, don't look at me like that. If you don't know, you might think I've abandoned you. Ni Meng wrote the note for renting the stall, handed it over, and said sadly. If you trade the remaining good things to me privately, I can let you throw them away once. Bai Yi smiled. You are really willing to go out of your way, but unfortunately this is not enough. Ni Meng's beautiful eyes flashed and she asked with a smile. Oh, what's enough? Bai Yi didn't speak, just glanced at Ni Meng's sexy and fierce figure, turned around, left the pavilion, and went straight to the stall. Ni Meng didn't know what he felt. His cheeks were slightly red, but he immediately let out a chuckle. The trading market is bustling with people coming and going. Bai Yi walked around and found his stall. Just as he stopped, a surprised voice came from behind him. Big brother. Bai Yi looked back with a smile on his face. It's Wang Si. He ran over with a look of joy on his face, rubbing his hands and laughing. I was about to call you, but I didn't expect to meet you, that big boss, you know. Don't make it sound like we are ambiguous, just say we want weapons. Bai Yi twitched the corners of his mouth and quickly took out Feng Yu's bow from his backpack and handed it over. Any slower, and he would be afraid of the Brokeback Mountain looks from others. As soon as the weapon was taken out, it completely caught Wang Si's attention, especially when he took it in his hand and checked the information. Zhu Si's face showed an expression of excitement. It's indeed a good weapon. As expected of a big shot, it's awesome, ha ha ha. Wang Si subconsciously pulled the next bow string without any pressure at all. That is to say, this place is not suitable, otherwise he would have drawn the bow and shot an arrow. But he had other things to do with Bai Yi, so he quickly calmed down and asked with a smile on his face. Well, boss, what you promised me before still counts, right? What did you promise before? Bai Yi looked puzzled. After thinking about it, he couldn't help but have a flash of light. You mean to help you forge weapons? Yeah, Wang Si nodded repeatedly. Bai Yi asked with a smile. I said, as long as you can find the materials I want, I will help you. What, you found it? Bai Yi didn't believe it. After all, each of those materials is particularly precious. Not to mention Wang Si, Bai Yi even suspected that the official government did not have any at present. All players in the world could only get a handful, not more than a palm. But the next moment, Wang Si nodded and whispered. Boss, you guessed it right. I do have news, but I haven't gotten it yet, but it will definitely be no problem. It will be done in no more than 3 days. Do you really have news? What material is it? Bai Yi was shocked and couldn't help but ask. Wang Si told the truth. It's the Kongming stone. Hiss. A void stone that contains spatial attributes. Damn it. This thing was something that not many people had when I was about to be reborn in my previous life. In this life, there is news so quickly, and it will even be available soon. Thinking of this, Bai Yi felt excited. A special ore with space attributes. If this could be synthesized, miss, I can't even imagine it. But after all, he didn't get it, so Rie quickly calmed down and showed a puzzled expression. Where did you get the news? You won't be deceived, right? Hey, you can rest assured about this big boss. Wang Si said with a hint of envy in his tone. He is a friend of a member of my guild. He is an independent player, but he is very lucky. Aren't there floods everywhere in the game before? After the flood, a large tomb was found around that guy's shelter. It seemed to be from some empire. A baron's tomb, although it is very dangerous inside, he basically has to die once a day. But there are a lot of good things. Quote, he not only got a good set of equipment inside, but he also got 2 skill runes and a Kongming stone. It's really like comparing people to each other and throwing away goods. When Wang Si heard the news, his eyes turned red with jealousy. What kind of luck is this? Why doesn't he have it? A tomb full of good things. If he encounters it, he is not allowed to take off immediately. Although the risk is high, as long as you can get the treasure, it will be fine. Hearing this, Bai Yi couldn't help but smack his lips and marveled. That's really good luck, you can find such a tomb. But he didn't have much envy. In terms of luck alone, who else in this world is luckier than him? Regardless of his status as a reborn person or his talent. At the same time, I was also excited. The news is true, which means that he will get the Kongming stone soon. Get it as soon as possible. As long as you get it, I can build equipment for you immediately. Bai Yi instructed. He was not afraid that after getting the Kongming stone, Wang Si discovered the power of the Kongming stone. To put it bluntly, the Kongming stone is very powerful, but with only one piece, it is equivalent to useless. What can you do with a void stone? Forging equipment. Joke. How can a craftsman who can forge equipment with Kongming stone be encountered now? In modern times, that thing is equivalent to a national treasure and can be used to forge artifacts. Such people are hard to come by, let alone rare, and even if they are encountered, they may not choose to join your shelter. This kind of wanderer, if nothing else, has no problem surviving in a dark place. What matters is whether you have the qualifications. They choose to settle down, not only for themselves to have a stable home, but also because of their dreams. Some want to choose a strong sanctuary and redevelop civilization. Some are killing evil gods. If you are not qualified, the most they can do is talk to you and then change places and continue wandering, looking for players that suit you. And if it cannot be used to forge weapons, a Kongming stone cannot even be put into a special building. The number is too small, at least 5. But it is a great luck to get one of this precious ore, let alone 4 more. So Bai Yi is not worried at all that Wang Si will not give this thing to him. Hey, don't worry, boss, I will bring it to you soon. Wang Si nodded and promised. Bai Yi smiled and said nothing more. He turned around and came to his stall, ready to set up his stall. Wang Si's eyes lit up and he immediately showed an expectant expression. He has been coming to the trading market for a while, but he has been wandering around the market without buying anything. Even if he heard his subordinates say that the official store sells good things, he just sent them away and went there himself. Still walking in the market. Why, I just want to meet Bai Yi. In addition to confirming that Bai Yi's conditions are true. It's to get your own weapons. In addition, I just want to see if Bai Yi can set up a stall, and if so, what he will sell. As someone who knows that Bai Yi can forge extraordinary equipment, he firmly believes that if Bai Yi sets up a stall, there will definitely be good things. Under his gaze, Bai Yi took out a knife after thinking for a while. But the action didn't stop. Next, he took out another drawing. Gone. Just 2. The sword is a rotten sword. The blueprint is the forging blueprint of the broken steel sword. The moment Bai Yi stopped, 2 figures came straight towards him, one picked up the sword and the other picked up the drawing. The sudden movement startled Bai Yi, and then he looked at the 2 people in front of him with a look of surprise. One of the 2 people is naturally Wang Si, but the other is a young girl. It's you, Bai Yi said in surprise. He recognized this girl as the girl who was standing next to him when he came up in the elevator. She looked like a miner, about 1.6 meters tall, with waist-length black hair, and her dress was a bit two-dimensional. Wearing JK and white pantyhose, it doesn't look out of place. It makes her look pretty and cute, but also full of youthful atmosphere. Of course, the most important thing is that this girl has an exquisite face. Hee, big brother, we meet again. My name is Huel, and you are happy. The joy of music. Huel waved hello to Bai Yi with a smile on her face. Hello, my name is Bai Yi. Bai Yi nodded slightly and said curiously. How will you be here? Because I have been following you, brother Bai. Huel naturally changed the name and explained the reason for being here. Follow me. Bai Yi was surprised and really didn't notice this. Huel nodded and explained. I noticed you, brother Bai, before in the elevator. When the other 2 were chatting, we talked about a big shot. Then I noticed that there was something strange about your face, brother Bai. My intuition told me that you, brother Bai, are definitely not simple. Then after I got out of the elevator, I followed you, and I saw you going to the official members to make a deal, and I felt even more that Daxi, you must be very powerful. Then I followed him all the way here. Now it seems that my guess was correct. Walla looked at the sword in his hand with excitement on his face. Although he is a new player, because of his family connections, Hool has gained a better understanding of this game than ordinary people in a short period of time. It's very clear that gear is everything in this game right now. With a good weapon, you can have a perfect start. And the weapon in her hand is a magical weapon in her eyes. Hearing this, Bai Yi nodded, but he didn't expect that there would be a follower behind him from the moment he left the elevator. But it was also because he didn't pay too much attention, otherwise it would be impossible for him to miss it with his senses. On the other hand, Wang Si, who was on the side, was a little shocked when he saw someone snatching something from him. After all, he had planned to take advantage of Yi at once while others were not paying attention. Buy everything that comes out. As a result, another person suddenly appeared. But he was so angry. But when he saw Walla, his face suddenly turned bitter, and the anger he originally wanted to vent swallowed into his stomach, and he smiled bitterly. Miss Wah, why are you here and why are you trying to get in touch with me? What do you mean by grabbing it from you? I didn't say I would sell this thing to you. Whoever gets it will buy it first, right, brother Bai? Hool showed a bright smile towards Bai Yi. Bai Yi nodded with a smile. Nature. Underneath the smile, there was also a hint of doubt. He noticed something strange about Wang Si, which could make Mr. Yi to show such an expression. It seems that the identity of this girl named Hool is not simple. That's fine. The purpose of setting up a stall is to let people compete for high prices and then benefit for himself. What I originally thought was that the official would compete with Wang Si. But now that the official has not come, an unknown eldest lady can come. Although he was curious about Hool's identity, Bai Yi knew it was not the time to ask, so he said instead. Anyway, you each got the same thing. See if you want it. If you want it, bid. In short, although whoever gets it can bid first, whoever bids higher will get it. Hearing this, Hool smiled. Don't worry, brother Bai, my price will never disappoint you. Such a good weapon, she wants to order it. On Wang Si's side, after hearing Bai Yi's words, he also nodded and breathed a sigh of relief. Wally's identity is indeed not simple. He knows a little bit about it, but fortunately, the group of players is not a place where power can suppress people nowadays. Especially for those who have mastered extraordinary power. For players, with Bai Yi's words, he was not afraid of fair competition with Hool, so he looked at the introduction of the drawings in his hand with peace of mind. Upon seeing this, Wang Si suddenly became short of breath and looked excited. Damn it, this drawing. This is actually a blueprint that can obtain complete forging skills. Although he is just forging an ordinary weapon, for someone like him who has a large number of players under his command, it is definitely a treasure. Although this kind of drawing can produce better results in the hands of a blacksmith. But the important thing is that you can learn it without being a blacksmith. After learning it, you can forge weapons if you have the materials. Take this blueprint and give him some time. Apart from anything else, the players under his command will no longer be short of ordinary weapons. You can imagine what a huge improvement this is. Take it, must get it. On the side, Walla was always observing Wang Si. After seeing the expression on Wang Si's face, he knew that the drawings in Wang Si's hands must not be simple, and he couldn't help but glance at Bai Yi curiously. It doesn't look big, but it looks so powerful. Ordinary people can't come up with two treasures that can excite her and Wang Si at the same time. After thinking about it, she shouted to Wang Si. Wang Si, how about we exchange the things in our hands and take a look? She was also curious about the drawing. Hearing this, Wang Si came back to his senses and showed hesitation, but just as Walla was curious about his drawings, he was also curious about the sword in Wally's hand, so after thinking about it, he clicked. Head, exchange the things in hand with Hool. After getting the sword, Wang Si quickly checked it. He was actually curious about the knife, but he didn't really care. As long as you get that drawing, everything will be worth it. But when he saw the properties of the rotten Tai Dao, Wang Si couldn't help but curse. Damn it, this knife is so awesome. What, knife, are you still awesome? I'm here, come on, what's going on with me? Nima, I can't hear the word awesome right now, let me see it too. You put the trigger keyword here, right? Damn it, isn't that Wang Si? Is he talking about the knife in his hand? Hiss, even the prince thinks this is an awesome weapon. Can you let me see it too? The surrounding players were all attracted by Wang Si's exclamation and looked over. After recognizing Wang Si's identity, he looked at the knife in his hand with curiosity. Of course, there are also some smart players who approached immediately and took out their mobile phones to scan and check the information about the rotten sword. But when they saw it, they were all dumbfounded, showing the same shocked expression as Wang Si. Nah, this knife is invincible. I want this knife. Can you afford it? Do you want it? Can you all give me some face? Don't ask for it, just give it to me. You're a fool, I'll give you face. Many people couldn't help but drool and couldn't help asking Bai Yi what the price was. This also made other players more curious, and they pushed forward. It was not until they saw the information about the rotten sword that they became in uproar. At this time, Wang Sikai came back to his senses and looked at Bai Yi with burning eyes. Boss, this knife, Bai Yi asked with a smile. Want to? Yeah. Wang Si nodded impatiently. Who can not love this knife? Bai Yi didn't waste time and told the price directly. Blueprints, skill runes, special metal ores or wood, including purification stones. As for the quantity, it depends on the price you offer. The words just fell. A passerby player shouted without hesitation. Boss, my benefactor, I am Xiao Li who went to the market last time. In order to repay your life-saving grace, boss, I want this knife. A blueprint, 10 water purification stones, 20 mithrils, plus a speed skill rune. Hearing this, Bai Yi looked surprised. He didn't expect that he would even take out the skill runes. But when I heard the name, I understood. The speed skill is a very common skill. After using it, it just increases the speed and has no other effects. If such a skill rune could be exchanged for such a weapon, I believe most people would be willing to do so. Although everyone on the side was also surprised that this man could take out the skill runes, they were speechless at what he said before. Damn, there were so many people attending the market last time. I didn't even know how to express feelings. In other words, those who didn't know thought you were very familiar with the boss. Hey, is this the big guy from the last market? Everyone suddenly reacted and looked at Bai Yi with a bit of awe. If it was this big boss, no wonder he could produce such a powerful weapon. Bai Yi did not respond. Soon others began to give prices one after another like an auction. Seeing this scene, Wang Si suddenly wanted to slap himself in the face. Why should he be shocked? He was originally secretly competing with the eldest lady, but now it was good, attracting a large number of people at once. If you want to get this knife again, you will undoubtedly need to pay more. Not to mention that he wanted to get not only the knife, but also the drawings. Suddenly, Wang Si felt someone tugging at his clothes, and couldn't help but turn his head and look confused. Miss Hua, what are you doing? Huo looked at the crowd around him and sighed. Let's openly announce it. I want this knife, and the blueprint belongs to you. How about we each take the same one? She also wanted to get both, but after looking at the surrounding situation, she understood that this was unrealistic. If she continued to delay, maybe the official people would come later, and a strong competitor would be added by then. Take it down. Instead of doing this, it is better to get the same thing first and then talk about it. Of the two items, the blueprint was very good, but she wanted the knife more. Hearing this, Wang Si looked hesitant. Huo turned over Bai Yi and curled her lips. You don't want to get both, do you? Stop dreaming. I'm definitely going to get one, and you can't win against me, so you'd better make a decision quickly, otherwise there will be more and more people, and maybe I can't get any of them. Cooperate with me now. We are the same as each other. You might still have a chance. And I've seen the drawings. They are of great importance to your family. If you miss them, tisk tisk. I doubt your father will break your legs. Wang Si's mouth twitched. Don't tell me, he feels this way too. Obtaining this blueprint can really bring the power of the players under his hands to a higher level. I have to say that he was moved by Walla. After thinking about it for a while, he nodded and gritted his teeth. Okay, let's do it alone. I want the drawings. Hey, it's agreed. Walla had a smile on her face and immediately jumped up and ran towards Bai Yi. Brother Bai, I want this knife. As for the price, the basic stone and wood resources are 30,000 each, 10,000 iron, 10 purification stones, 100-year-old purple trembling wood with the breath of wisdom, plus 50 orichalcum, how about it? Quote. Oh, 100-year-old purple trembling wood that is filled with the aura of wisdom. Bai Yi's expression moved slightly. He looked at the delicate girl in front of him, and asked. Any information? Hee, of course, it's in the backpack, I'll show it to you. Huel nodded, took out the mobile phone from his pocket with his white and tender hands, took out a piece of wood and handed it to Bai Yi's eyes. After taking it, Bai Yi checked it. A century-old purple trembling wood infected with the breath of wisdom. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. The centuries-old purple trembling wood that grows in the residence of the wise man is infected with the wisdom of the wise man because it is close to the wise man. Whether it is used to make ointment, fragrant pills, sachets, incense cards, bracelets, etc., it will spread. Shivering incense has the effect of refreshing the brain and resuscitating the mind, and has many benefits to the human body. Because of being infected with the wisdom of the wise, everyone's spirit is more focused and concentrated. Close black lens bracket. Tisk tisk, this wood is such a good thing. After Bai Yi read it, his eyes lit up. He was worried about the lack of wood to build a study, but he didn't expect this to happen. Not only is it a precious purple trembling wood, but it is also a purple trembling wood infected with the aura of wisdom. This is equivalent to an additional attribute. When used in the construction of buildings, you can definitely get an entry. Although it is not as good as the woods that I thought before, which of those woods is not extremely rare. At present, I only have a probability of obtaining it, not an absolute possibility. Rather than relying on luck, it would be nice to get the purple trembling wood directly. Not to mention that in addition to the purple shaking wood, there are 10 purification stones. This is a special material needed to purify the passage. But it was a pity that Bai Yi shook his head after thinking about it. Not enough. If the rotten sword had only one effect, these things would be enough. But it's a pity that the rotten sword has more than one effect. Its own hardness makes it a sophisticated weapon, not to mention its 2 special effects. Although Bai Yi hasn't used this weapon for a long time, it doesn't mean it's not strong. At least for now, looking at the entire player group, the rotten sword is a top-notch weapon, especially for professionals with melee capabilities. It can greatly enhance combat power. And because of its effectiveness, you don't have to worry about battery life. Brother Bai, you are so greedy. Huel complained, this is a very sincere price. Bai Yi chuckled lightly. I'm not greedy, that's the truth. Okay, how about I add another 100 purple trembling trees? Although he was a little worried about his wallet, Walla really wanted this weapon, so he gritted his teeth and made another bid. Hearing this, Bai Yi took a deep look at the girl in front of him. With so many purple trembling trees, you were probably the one who chopped down that tree, right? Not to mention, although the construction of the study only requires 10 pieces of special wood, he can still eat more. Because the construction of natural forest rooms also requires the use of special wood. This is the effect, and it will be a bit strange to build it. After all, I know the effect of the natural forest room drawings, plus the special effect of the purple trembling wood. Okay, deal. After Bai Yi thought about it for a while, he made the decision immediately. Hearing this, Walla suddenly smiled like a flower, and quickly took out all the materials for Bai Yi from his backpack, and took the rotten Tai Dao, his eyes full of love. Bai Yi didn't hide it. Directly tell the transaction price to other players to avoid being accused of being unfair. Although I don't care, it's just a word. Of course, if other players can come up with a price that makes him more satisfied, that would be better. But it is a pity that many players expressed regret after hearing the price of Huel. They can't afford such resources. Especially there are exactly 2 things Bai Yi needs in it. The knife was sold, and all that was left was a drawing. Blueprints are not what ordinary players crave. After all, most of them are lone wolves and have little need for such drawings. On the contrary, some powerful people began to fall into disgrace. I have admired Mr. Bai for a long time. My name is Li Feng. I come from Penguin Group. I wonder if it would be an honor to exchange contact information with Mr. Bai. Hello, Mr. Bai, this is Wang Zongzawangi. Hello Mr. Bai, I am An elite man in a suit came to Bai Yi, introduced himself enthusiastically, and wanted to get Bai Yi's contact information. These people are the elites of major chaebols and groups. After these large groups entered the game, they invested a lot of resources and were very willing to spend money, so they basically knew all kinds of information. Although not much is known about Bai Yi's identity, we also know that he is a real strong man who has obtained extraordinary power. Moreover, it is not only stronger than ordinary extraordinary beings, but also has the ability to provide equipment. In their eyes, the latter is more important, and the former is secondary. Although the former can also make them enthusiastic about Bai Yi, the latter is enough to make them please Bai Yi. In the face of these people, Bai Yi naturally refused to refuse them all, smiled and nodded in response, and gave contact information to anyone who wanted it. These people may be big customers in the future, so they can't be missed. And nothing else. After the darkness fell, the forces behind these people were still alive and well. Although some fell, some rose up in the chaos, and they might be able to bring some help to themselves in the future. But Wang Xi on the side was even more helpless. After all, compared to Tai Dao, the competition for his drawing is really fierce. He had no choice but to take out his mobile phone and go aside to call his father, ready to seek his father's resources and support. By the time the call was finished, Bai Yi was almost ready. Li Feng asked, "Mr. Bai, I wonder if the price demand for this drawing is the same as the knife just now." 4.3, yes. Bai Yi nodded. Although I have the clean room, wood, etc. myself. But he doesn't mind if there are too many. It can always be used later. For this scarce resource, the more the better. It's also good to use for synthesis. Hearing this, Li Feng and others nodded in understanding, and then began to pick up their mobile phones, preparing to make their own lists. They all know the importance of drawings. After telling the headquarters, they also received instructions that they must be taken down. Just like the two weapons previously traded to Nimeng, this blueprint also contains special meaning for powerful people like them. After some preparation, Li Feng took the lead in taking out his list and said politely, "Mr. Bai, this is our Penguin Group's bid. What do you think?" Bai Yi looked curious, took the phone and took a look, and was suddenly surprised. 30,000 each for wood and stone. 10,000 iron. 1,000 marbles. 1,000 obsidian. Then there are special resources. Purification stone x10. Water purification stone x10. Elemental spirit gold x10. Silent powder x10. Ghost wood x100. As expected of a penguin, he's so damn rich. After Bai Yi read it, he couldn't help but exclaimed. Whether it is basic resources or special resources, a lot of them have been used. And they are all the rarer ones. To be honest, Bai Yi was a little moved. However, his heartbeat returned and Bai Yi returned the phone, ready to look at other people's lists. Penguin was so generous, he estimated that the other big forces wouldn't be much worse. Sure enough, the next one was from Net 1. Bai Yi took it and took a look, also showing surprise. The basic resources of stone and wood are 30,000 each. 10,000 iron, 5,000 gold and silver. 1,000 marbles, 1,000 obsidian, 100 snow silkworms. 100 snow lotus trees. Purification stone times 10. Snow crystal x20. Mithril x20. Compared to Penguin, Net 1 is not bad at all. Not only do the basic resources have the same number, but they also have a variety of rare special resources, which can dazzle your eyes day and night. Among them, snow silkworm silk is obviously a suitable material for making clothes and equipment. Snowdrop is another kind of special wood. Snow crystal is a special kind of crystal stone born in extremely cold places. Coupled with the purification stone and mithril, it is undoubtedly a big deal. Hey, I'm so excited after seeing this. Bai Yi curled his lips, feeling very entangled in his heart, but still relied on his perseverance to return the phone, saying that he would look at other people's phones. Next, a few more people handed over the list, but compared to Penguin and Net 1, it seemed much worse. It is probably because these big forces did not focus their main energy on the Magic City. Bai Yi made some calculations in his mind while watching, and finally looked at Wang Xi. What about you? Are you sure? Hey, it's been prepared a long time ago. Take a look, boss. Wang Xi grinned and handed the phone to Dao Su. Compared with before when he looked bitter and even a little nervous, now he is in high spirits. Do you understand what it means to be a father-son soldier? After the phone call to his father directly sent him a list of various supplies for him to choose from. Although he is Yida's son-in-law, he and his father develop games separately, each working on their own projects, which means they can easily share information. In order to get the blueprints, his father went to great lengths. Wang Si is confident that he can win this drawing directly. Really? Bai Yi took it and took a look, suddenly showing a surprised expression. The basic stone and wood resources are 50,000. 15,000 iron. 2,000 marbles. Obsidian 2,000. 2,000 Qingtian stones. 2,000 goose worm stones. 1,000 charcoal. 1,000 coals. Then there are special resources. Purification stone times 10. Deep sea black iron x 10. 4 seasons wood x 20. Mithril x 20. And between a forest. To be honest, even Bai Yi was surprised. He didn't expect Wang Si to be so willing. The number of resources alone far exceeded others, let alone a blueprint. And this drawing is also what Bai Yi needs. Between the forest is a room renovation drawing, but it is not a room for people to live in, but for wild animals to live in. There is a huge demand for area. After the renovation, the environment in the room will be like a real forest, suitable for the residence of various beasts. Ordinary people naturally don't need this kind of drawings. After all, setting up a forest room in the shelter is just for strolling around from time to time and breathing fresh air. Then what? Then it's useless. But Bai Yi has a tiger mother and tiger cubs at home. Mom and tiger cub can live there too. But obviously the forest is better. After all, it is for animals and wild beasts to live. Some of the entries are helpful to wild beasts and are more suitable for tiger cubs to grow up so that they will not lose their wildness. Boss, how are you? Are you satisfied? Wang Si grinned, his face full of confidence. Bai Yi nodded. It's really good. He showed the list to several others. If no one continues to bid, this drawing will probably belong to Yida. As he expected, after reading it, Li Feng looked complicated. The current price is already the highest price our group can offer. We can't pay more, so we can only give up. Same here. Wang Yi also spoke. Except for Wang Si, the two highest bidders gave up. Needless to say, the others shook their heads to give up. The final drawings were attributed to Wang Si. He happily took it and immediately asked someone to send the resources over. All 2 items were sold, when Ni Meng hurried over. Seeing this, he couldn't help but approach Bai Yi, looking resentful. I just came here and you've already sold out all this stuff. You can't blame me. Who asked you to come so late? Bai Yi shrugged, looking innocent. Ni Meng was helpless. Those 2 weapons were so important that she needed to deliver them in person. But no matter how valuable the items sold are, they should not be as valuable as those 2 weapons. Ni Meng sighed helplessly and accepted this fact. Anyway, she has bought good things from Bai Yi. In her opinion, the best things in Bai Yi's hands have been obtained by her. No matter how precious the remaining things are, they should not be comparable to those 2 weapons. Compare. But after some inquiries, Ni Meng was shocked. Are you willing to sell such a precious weapon? She looked at Bai Yi with an expression of disbelief. Forget about the drawings, the officials are not in a hurry. Because the government has invested a lot of resources, it has achieved results in this regard. But a weapon like the rotting Tai sword is really an artifact at this stage. Can it be sold? She doesn't understand. To this, Bai Yi could only answer with a smile. I am a mage. All right, understood. Ni Meng accepted this explanation, but then took Bai Yi's hand with a serious look on his face. Next time there is such a good thing, please be sure to notify me. She regretted it so much. If she had known that there was a magical weapon like the rotten Tai sword, she would have had to delay sending the weapon for a while. In that case, she might get the weapon. Definitely next time. Under Ni Meng's hot and eager gaze, Bai Yi touched his nose and nodded awkwardly. After another reassurance, Ni Meng let go of Bai Yi's hand and left. If she didn't get Rodachi, she would only feel uncomfortable if she stayed here. Next, others left too. However, several powerful people also looked for Bai Yi before leaving, saying that they could contact them if they had any good things in the future, and promised to give a price that would satisfy Bai Yi. In response, Bai Zinran nodded. Hehe, brother Bai, please give me your contact information too. At this time, Walla also ran over, blinking his bright eyes, and said expectantly. Okay. Bai Yi smiled and nodded. Although he didn't know Huol's identity, who could refuse such a beautiful and lovely girl who took the initiative to ask for your contact information? After adding each other's contact information, Wally's eyes narrowed into crescent moons. Brother Bai, can I ask you another question? What is the problem? Do you like girls with cute styles? Walla looked expectantly, looking at him eagerly. The flirtation from a girl, who can resist this? Fortunately, Bai Yi is not an ordinary man. He touched Huol's head and smiled. If it were you, I would like it. Well, Walla blushed for a moment, and even felt faintly heartbeat. I can't stand it, I really can't stand it. She hurriedly took a few steps back, glanced at Bai Yi angrily, and then turned around and fled as if shy. Oh, the method is quite high. Seeing this, Bai Yi chuckled and was not fooled. If this was an ordinary person, he would probably have developed a crush on the girl under these methods. But in Bai Yi's eyes, real women will only affect the speed of my search for the succubus. Hehe, the boss is still so powerful that he can even seduce this young lady. I'm willing to be defeated. Walla left, and Wang Sikai came over with a smile on his face. Hearing this, Bai Yi curled his lips and became angry. Don't tell me that you can't see that this is all a ploy. If so, I would suspect that all your girlfriends are fake. Ahem, what if this young lady really likes you, the boss? Wang Si showed an awkward smile. Shout, pull me down. Although I'm quite handsome, love at first sight doesn't happen to a young lady like this. By the way, I also want to ask you, who is this young lady? It seems that her identity is very unusual. Bai Yi remembered this incident and cast a curious look at Wang Si. Wang Si looked around, pulled Bai Yi to a deserted place, and whispered. I was just about to tell you, boss, that this young lady's status is indeed extraordinary. It's hard to say exactly. Anyway, it comes from a big family, and it's the kind of family that has something in both hands. So smart. Bai Yi looked surprised and asked subconsciously. Direct lineage. Right, Tisk, why would such a young lady come to the Magic City? Shouldn't it be over there in the capital? It is not easy for a big family to grasp both sides. In a place like Daxia, there are not many families that can be called big, and there are even fewer big families that can handle both. Holding politics with one hand and business with the other is called holding both hands. You can imagine what kind of identity it is. Wang Si explained. The reason why this is not a game is that the big families have also noticed it and started to make plans. Just like the ancient aristocratic families, they never put their eggs in one basket, so they chose many places, and the Magic City is one of them. So here she is. Hearing this, Bai Yi nodded thoughtfully. To put it bluntly, it means choosing many places to lay out, and sending a direct descendant to each place. The one sent by the Magic City is Huol. Of course, I can't say that I am Pai, I should choose to come here. The children of such a big family have many connections, and the most important thing is that they are really powerful. It is hard to say after the darkness falls, but before the darkness falls, they still have great energy. Wang Si reminded. Although the eldest lady just used the means to show off, it can also be seen that she is very optimistic about you. It will be good for you to make friends with the boss. In response, Bai Yi chuckled lightly, shook his head, and did not respond. This is indeed the case under normal circumstances. But unfortunately, things will soon be different. After darkness falls, the dark land merges into the earth. How vast will it be then? If there is black mist blocking it and monsters surging, the children of such a big family will not be able to exert much power. But he didn't explain to Wang Si, he just asked with a smile. Since your identity is so powerful, why didn't Nimeng show any reaction just now? That's different. Wang Si, as young Master Yida, is very familiar with these things and explained. Night Patrol belongs to a special department and belongs only to the top leaders. No one else can interfere, including these big families. I heard that some people wanted to get involved when it was first established, but in the end their hands were cut off. Tisk tisk. No wonder. Bai Yi suddenly realized. This conversation satisfied his curiosity. Yes, he asked purely out of curiosity. Other than that, no ideas. After all, times have changed. The future is an era of strength. The power of an individual can surpass everything. After communicating with Wang Si, the two separated. Wang Si was anxious to take the drawings back. Bai Yi received the resources and was ready to wander around the trading market for a while before leaving. He had a great day. Apart from anything else, the purification channel is not far away from construction because of the purification stone. As for the study room, it's almost there. The natural forest blueprint can be constructed directly. In addition, the number of synthesis times today is useless, and there is still a bunker waiting to be explored. You can tell he will be very busy today. But it makes Bai Yi full of expectations. After walking around and confirming that there was nothing in the trading market that made him excited, Bai Yi left here and returned home. After closing the door and taking out a bottle of ice Coke from the refrigerator, Bai Yi came to the room. He opened the Coke, took a sip, and sighed happily. Then Bai Yi took out his mobile phone and clicked on the game. After the appearance, Mia, the tiger mother and the tiger cubs immediately appeared around him. "Ah, I'm finally back, I can watch TV now." As soon as Mia came out, she immediately flew to the living room and couldn't wait to turn on the TV. The tiger cub followed up with a growl. Only after the tiger mother yelled hello to Bai Yi, she ran to the living room and lay down. The warm picture made Bai Yi smile involuntarily, then he twisted his neck and looked at the screen of his mobile phone. Okay, next, it's game time. Magic City. In a mansion villa. Wang Si drove his sports car and came back with the drawings. As soon as he entered the door, he saw his father sitting in the living room drinking tea. Seeing his son come in, Lao Wang put down his teacup and asked, "Got it?" "Haha, of course, I'll get it directly." Wang Si smiled and slapped the drawing in front of his father. Picking up the drawing, Lao Wang looked at it carefully. After reading it, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. "Yes, I will take this drawing. As for the forged weapons, part of them will be given to you when the time comes." "Okay, anyway, I'm just having a little fun here, and your place is the main event." Wang Si nodded, without Sifu's opinion. After Yida entered the game, he invested a lot of resources, but most of the resources belonged to his father's side, and his own side was a small part. The reason for doing this is the same as what I said before, not to put all the eggs in one basket. Although his side is small and not as good as his father's side, it is still a big force compared to ordinary people. What if there is a chance and it takes off? It is better to act at both ends than to put everything in one place. After all, in their eyes, this game is just like the online games in novels. It is extremely real and everything is possible. Anyway, it is impossible for his own father not to benefit from him. Putting away the drawings, Lao Wang asked about Wang Si Bai Yi's situation again. "What do you think of this person?" "Dad, what are you referring to?" As a person. Wang Si originally took out his mobile phone to play games, but after hearing this, he couldn't help but sit up straight and start thinking. After a while, he said seriously, "As a person, I can't guarantee that, but judging from the current situation of getting along with him, he is a person who can get along with him. Of course, he is also very decisive, at least from the first market transaction, it can be seen that he does not hesitate to take action, even if it is to kill someone. You can be a good friend without offending someone." Hearing this, Lao Wang nodded. "That's enough. If you continue to make friends with people like this, they may be of great help to us in the future." "Hey, of course, you don't need to tell me that I can do it. This is a real boss." Wang Si raised his lips. Lao Wang was not angry. "You didn't understand what I meant. What I mean is that once we have made good friends, this may be our retreat in the future." "Huh, a way out. Dad, is it true or not? Why have you even considered this aspect?" Wang Si looked stunned and asked. "Besides, I admit that the boss is very strong, but we are not too bad. It can't be our retreat, right?" "What do you know?" Lao Wang said in a deep voice. "You still don't know some of the news. As of now, the most powerful extraordinary power discovered in this game is enough to rival a nuclear bomb. Do you know what this means? It means that players can grow to this level in the future. In addition, the news found so far in the game indicates that there are gods. In the future, players may not be able to become gods. In a game like this, do you think capital plays a big role?" Perhaps it is undeniable that it is indeed useful, but the reality is completely different. In a game like this, some powerful players, even if they don't have any background or capital behind them, can explore more unknown places as long as they are strong enough. When the time comes, with a little bit of luck, it will easily become new capital. If you have better luck, you can easily suppress capital. Because individual power can solve everything. Lao Wang said seriously. You have seen Bai Yi's information. He is very strong, and not even average. Judging from the power he masters, he far exceeds some elite players who have also gained extraordinary power. In addition, he can also provide himself with equipment, so the lead will be even greater. With such a lead, he will not die easily and can explore more dangerous places. The more he explores, the more opportunities he seizes and the more secret information he gets. If we use the realm of cultivation in novels as a metaphor, do you think it is possible for such a person to be ahead of everyone else and reach a higher realm in advance? Wang Si's mind was shaken, he thought subconsciously, and then nodded. Possible. This is it, Lao Wang said calmly. Since it is possible, then think about it, from an extraordinary point of view, what will happen if a high realm versus a high realm? To this question, Wang Si, who often reads online novels, came up with the answer without hesitation. Crush. Yes, just crushing. In the face of powerful force, no matter the number of people or resources, they are all ants. With one punch, no matter how much you resist, they will be powerless. This is the fact that Jay brought to my group. I admit it, and you have to admit it too. And a person who may be ahead of everyone in terms of strength, do you think he is qualified to be our retreat? Wang Si scratched his head, thought about it carefully, and nodded helplessly. According to this, Bai Yi really does exist. After all, if it really has that level of power, which is equivalent to a walking nuclear bomb, who can be against the people? It is no exaggeration to say that if you really reach that level, every word you say will become an iron rule. If you want, it will even become a law. If you obey, you will live. If you don't, you will die. Have opinions. Just as dead. Do you comply or not? Of course, in his opinion, Bai Yi would definitely not do this, but this is a metaphor for powerful power. Quality beats quantity, there is no doubt about it. Another very important reason why Lao Wang said this is that the arrival of the game allows people at his level to judge that the next world will gradually move from order to chaos and create turmoil. In such a situation, the more powerful a person is, the easier it is for him to rise. After thinking about this, Wang Si couldn't help but look surprised. In that case, wouldn't it mean that many people have the same idea as you? What do you think? Lao Wang curled his lips and said. We can all predict what will happen next, and everyone will definitely be prepared. It would be nice if everything happened in reality, and everyone could still use the resources in reality to ensure that there would be no accidents in their escape path. But all of this is in the game. The resources that everyone can use are limited, and there is no guarantee. We can only make some arrangements appropriately and choose a retreat. We are all smart people and there are no fools. We should not only give ourselves a try in the coming new era, but also prepare a safe escape route for ourselves. Hearing this, Wang Si nodded. Understood. Even as young Master Yida, he had to admit that he was still a lot younger than his father, who had gone through twists and turns in the business world. But it doesn't matter. According to what Dad said, just have a good relationship with the big boss, haha. Wang thought about this, smiled on his face, and continued to play the game. The other side, home. Bai Yi entered the game. After chatting with Yu Yi for a while, he directly controlled the character to leave the shelter and went straight to the entrance of the dungeon. Along the way, I killed some monsters and collected some garbage. After spending half an hour, Bai Yi finally arrived at the cave. When you reach the end, the entrance to the dungeon appears in front of you. After walking through, it was still a familiar place. Hopefully the light from the lantern will dispel the darkness. Bai Yi came to the location of the snake tribe. Because of the previous fire, this place has been reduced to ruins. Bai Yi did not rush to the academic territory, but wandered around the ruins and found Kofi's previous residence. Sure enough, there is. Looking at the red ruins in front of him, Bai Yi's eyes flashed slightly and he raised an expectant smile. This is Kofi's body. This is what he was looking for. Although I'm a little embarrassed, I still have to collect your body. I'm sorry. After saying that, Bai Yi waved his hand, and the prompt immediately appeared on the screen. Collection successful. Close black lens bracket. You gain a twisted heart. Close black lens bracket. Twisted heart. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. A heart that was originally sacred due to faith became distorted and crazy under the darkness and pollution, until it completely degenerated and merged with the darkness. Close black lens bracket. A black-purple, sarcoma-like heart appeared in the backpack. Bai Yi looked at the detailed instructions and was secretly surprised. Pollution, faith. It seems that this heart is not very easy to synthesize. Although it can be seen from the description that this heart is a very powerful special material, the power of pollution inside is too strong, and there is still residual crazy will. The synthesized equipment will most likely have negative buffs. Unless materials similar to the previous holy light potion can be synthesized with it, this heart will be temporarily useless. Hey, wait, it doesn't seem to be useless. Bai Yi seemed to have thought of something, and took out the crystal of resentment he had obtained before from his backpack. A twisted heart containing the aura of darkness and pollution, and a crystal of resentment containing resentment and yin energy. Suddenly I felt that the two were very compatible. After all, both are materials with negative status. When combined, there may be a negative to positive effect. The crystallization of resentment is useless anyway. Thinking of this, Bai Yi couldn't help but his eyes lit up. He was a little excited and decided to give it a try. Click to select. Twisted heart, plus crystal of resentment. Close black lens bracket. Synthesis. Wow, a soft light emerged, covering the two, and then slowly moved closer. Then, the two merge into one. Synthesis successful. Close black lens bracket. You have obtained the heart of the sad one. Close black lens bracket. This name seems good. Bai Yi's eyes brightened slightly, and he suddenly showed a look of expectation. He likes items with special names like this, which don't look simple. Without hesitation, he immediately clicked on the message to check it out. Open black lens bracket heart of the sorrowful one. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. This is a special heart that records sad emotions. Any creature that looks at it will involuntarily think of sad past events and fall into inextricable sadness. For some creatures who are good at using emotions, it is an excellent supplement. Close black lens bracket. Ha ha ha, it's really good. After seeing the message, Bai Yi couldn't help laughing. Another treasure was obtained, even though it's useless to me. But it is definitely a treasure that can be kept for later. Because this is a prop that can enhance special powers. Although it is related to emotions. But if Bai Yi remembers correctly, the mage has a promotion profession called emotion controller. If you can get it, you can use this item to synthesize it. It will undoubtedly become stronger. Of course, Bai Yi has no interest in becoming an emotional controller. Because that profession is mainly about controlling the other person's emotions, then directly reaching desires, and then controlling people's hearts. Bai Yi doesn't like this ability, Li Qian's, it's just a metaphor. At least two props that are currently useless or even useless, it is obviously worthwhile to combine them into such a treasure. Bai Yi put it away, with a satisfied smile on his face, and controlled the character to continue moving forward. After a while, I saw the familiar metal fence. Because we were coming from the last place, the fort above had been destroyed by Bai Yi, and he could easily get over it without taking action again. After entering the wall, Bai Yi went straight to the tower. Unexpectedly, as soon as he arrived, Bai Yi saw two double-blade robots wandering nearby outside the tower. Did you come out of it? Bai Yi murmured and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. This is good, so as to avoid fighting in the bunker and causing too much noise, thereby damaging the contents inside. Moreover, fighting outside is more relaxed and there is no need to worry about being attacked by surprise. Thinking of this, Bai Yi took a deep breath, waved his right hand, and the staff appeared in his palm. Something moved in my heart. Shadow travel. With a swish, Bai Yi disappeared from the spot. The next second, he appeared out of thin air behind a double-blade robot. The staff in his hand disappeared without knowing when, and was replaced by a magic sword that quickly condensed. With a cry, the magic sword swung and slashed violently. Tear, celery. Electricity fills the air. A scar suddenly appeared on the back of the double-blade robot. At the same time, it also discovered Bai Yi and heard a cold voice. Intruder, intruder found. Clear now. A buzzing sound. The two robots condensed their sharp swords, showed their full posture, and slashed at Bai Yi with terrifying speed and power as if the air was split open. That is to say, Bai Yi could barely avoid it if he reacted quickly enough. But just as he dodged the blow, the other double-blade robot also attacked, waving its two swords across each other. I won't be attacked by you this time. Bai Yi grinned, waved his staff, and cast Shadow Shuttle. He immediately disappeared and came to the right area. While dodging the attack, Bai Yi waved his staff first before the two double-blade robots could continue their attack. Shadow Energy Cannon. Boom. The black-green sphere condensed and was smashed instantly, spinning like a black hole while emitting huge suction. Under this suction force, the double-blade robot involuntarily moved closer to the Shadow Energy Cannon, unable to break free. The next moment, Bai Yi didn't stop. He waved his staff and displayed his newly synthesized skills. Holy Flame. Roar. The blazing golden flame rose up, turned into a fire dragon and roared away, engulfing both robots in an instant. With a bang, the cannon also exploded at this moment. Two powerful skills burst out at the same time, and the power produced can be imagined, with air waves rolling and dust rising. At the same time, even the two double-blade robots exploded instantly and lost power on the spot. Tisk, tisk, it's really scary. Bai Yi smacked his lips, shocked by the power of the sacred flames. Although at first glance it seemed to have many functions of the Shadow Energy Cannon, in fact when the sacred flames engulfed the two double-blade robots, their metal shells had already begun to melt. With such a terrifying high temperature, one can imagine how terrifying this skill is. The previous divine flame technique was only ignited and then melted over time. But the sacred flame can melt instantly. The degree of enhancement after synthesis can also be seen. I always feel like I'm going to start the random killing mode next, ha ha ha. Bai Yi grinned, full of expectation. With the Shadow Energy Cannon and the synthesized Holy Flame, it might become a simple mode next. But don't mention it, Bai Yi likes the simple mode the most. After smiling, Bai Yi immediately controlled the character to walk towards the robot's wreckage and collected it. 067 collection is successful. You obtained Orichalcum X4, Special Rubber X2, Special Alloy X3 Energy Crystal Fragment X1. Close black lens bracket. Collection is successful. You have obtained Special Rubber X1, Special Alloy X1, and Energy Crystal Fragments X4. Close black lens bracket. Good. Bai Yi nodded with satisfaction and solved the robot. The next step was to see the mysterious reward in the bunker. Taking a deep breath and looking forward to it, Bai Yi began to control the character into the bunker. At the same time, he also maintained a trace of vigilance. He didn't want to die from a sneak attack again like before. The game has just started today. If you die, you will really lose your blood. Arriving at the bunker, Bai Yi walked forward cautiously, and soon Bai Yi breathed a sigh of relief. He found no sign of the other robots. Obviously, there were only two double-blade robots guarding the bunker. At the same time, he also discovered where the double-blade robot that attacked him last time came from. Looking at the hole that had appeared on the ceiling above the bunker at some point, Bai Yi twitched his lips slightly, shook his head, and began to explore the bunker. The space inside the bunker is not small. There is a circular passage that leads straight to the depths. Currently, he is only in the outermost laboratories, research rooms and other areas. After searching around here, Bai Yi found a lot of good things. Although there are no treasure chests or treasures, there are a lot of resources unique to some academic schools. Such as orichalcum, rubber, alloys, metals, etc., there are many accumulated in some laboratories. Bai Yi put all of them into his backpack, which suddenly increased all kinds of resources by about 2,000. We are only a few steps away from transforming the shelter. After the surrounding area was cleared, Bai Yi walked inside along the passage. This passage continued downwards, and even after reaching the innermost part, there was no danger. The innermost part is an empty laboratory, with only a huge protective cover placed in the center. Is that the crystallization of the wisdom of this experimental base? Bai Yi looked at the things in the protective cover with twinkling eyes. That's a drawing. Although he didn't know anything, he couldn't wait to get up, and besides the blueprints, there were actually 2 silver treasure chests on the side. Sure enough, there will be something good at the end. Bai Yi grinned with an excited smile and couldn't wait to walk towards the treasure chest. As for the drawings, they must be left until the end. Coming to the treasure chest, Bai Yi rubbed his hands and opened it immediately. You opened the silver treasure chest and obtained X10 moonlight grass seeds, X10 citrine crystals, X10 red crystals. Close black lens bracket. Crystal. Bai Yi looked startled, with an expression of surprise on his face. He immediately picked out his backpack and looked at it, showing a helpless expression. Open black lens bracket citrine. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. Special crystals bred in mineral veins can contain the power of magic. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket red crystal. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. Special crystals bred in mineral veins can contain the power of magic. Close black lens bracket. This thing is useful or useless. You will know from the introduction that this is a magic prop material. It has many functions. One is to make magic props. The second is to make magic equipment. Third, it can be used to make some furniture. Yes, this thing can also make some luxury furniture. But if you want to say that this thing is useful, it is not very useful, because even for making magic props and magic equipment, this is the most common material among those. Not really precious. These things are found in a silver treasure chest, which is very ordinary. This is also the reason why Bai Yi is helpless. It's not a good idea. It's not even bad. He didn't even know whether he was lucky or unlucky to open this silver treasure chest. Forget it, it doesn't exist after all. It's not bad to open it now. Let's wait until the game ends today and see if we can synthesize anything. There are also moongrass seeds, which are also good. It just so happens that I want to continue synthesizing moongrass seeds. It's just that there was only one before, and I couldn't bear to waste the number of synthesis times. Now that I have it, I can have one left. Shaking his head, he came to another treasure chest day and night. This treasure chest must have some good things for me, right? Bai Yi murmured, and after praying to the goddess of luck, Bai Yi took a deep breath and opened the treasure box. Light emerged, and the prompt immediately appeared in front of me. You opened the silver treasure chest and obtained 100 sulfur X1 and 1 ring of surging. Close black lens bracket. Brimstone. And equipment. Seeing what was opened in the treasure box, Bai Yi's eyes suddenly lit up, showing excitement, and he immediately clicked to view it. The ring of surging. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. Magical jewelry created by powerful craftsmen contains surging magic power and has powerful effects. Close black lens bracket. Attached skill. Magic surge. After use, the power of all magic moves increases by 5%, lasting 10 minutes, once a day. Close black lens bracket. Damn it, this ring. Hey, that's a bit awesome. Bai Yi touched his chin and said with a surprised expression. Although the increase is not much, it can increase all magic skills. ACDA, it is an additional increase and does not require any consumption. It is the same as the magic source, once a day. There is no doubt that this ring is absolutely exquisite. Without any hesitation, Bai Yi put it on directly, with a smile on his face. The most important thing about this ring is that it has one more piece of equipment that can be synthesized. If the materials used are good and the synthesis is good, the value of the increase may be increased, and then it will be a real artifact. Sure enough, Lady Luck loves me. Bai Yi grinned and said with a smile on his face. Every time he prays to Goddess of Luck, he can get surprises from the treasure box. If he says that Goddess of Luck doesn't have a crush on him, he himself doesn't believe it. Ahem, Lady Luck can't really be alive, can she? Bai Yi touched his nose and subconsciously looked up at the top of his head. If I were alive, I don't know if I would be able to hear my own voice. He is a god after all. He shouldn't be so stingy. Next time, I'd better say it secretly in my heart. Bai Yi was a little timid. After calming down, he didn't dare to think too much, for fear of attracting the attention of a real god. Both treasure chests have been opened, and now comes the main event. Looking at the drawings in the protective cover, Bai Yi observed and confirmed that there was a button under the protective cover. Bai Yi reached out and pressed it, and the protective cover slowly began to shrink and disappear. The drawings exude a faint light, highlighting their own extraordinariness. Bai Yi remained cautious, took out a stone from his backpack and threw it out. After confirming that there was no danger such as laser, he happily reached out and took the blueprint in his hand. Then check it out immediately. Shelter renovation drawings only. Close black lens bracket. Explanation. This is the only one of the very special shelter transformation drawings studied by the academic school. After the drawing is successfully transformed, the shelter can have three forms. One is the shelter form, the second is the moving castle form, and the third is the battle form. And as it evolves and upgrades, the shelter's form changing ability will also increase. Close black lens bracket. Materials required for transformation. Precision parts X 10,000, special gears X 10,000, magic memory metal X 10,000, special rubber X 10,000, orichalcum X 10,000, special alloy X 10,000. Close black lens bracket. See the contents of the drawing. While Bai Yi was shocked in his heart, he also fell into silence, unable to recover for a long time. After a while, he took a deep breath and showed a shocked expression. Damn, I didn't expect that the crystallization of wisdom in this experimental base would be such a treasure. Yes, treasure, this blueprint is undoubtedly a treasure. After all, this drawing allows the shelter to change into three forms, including a moving castle form and a combat form. Bai Yi has heard of the moving castle form. This fighting form has never been heard of before. But if you think about it, you will know that it is definitely not simple. It can also switch back and forth between the three forms. Let's not talk about the unheard of combat forms. The moving castle form alone appeared very late in the previous life. But he has it now, which means that as long as he gathers the materials, he can immediately drive the shelter and explore various places. The significance of this is self-evident. After getting such a drawing, Bai Yi was excited, but also had a complicated expression. Everything is fine, but you need too many materials, right? Looking at the dense string of zeros, Bai Yi felt. I feel very sore. He has actually collected a lot of materials in the academic territory. But what is needed to compare this drawing is simply a drop in the bucket. Not to mention that there are precision parts, special gears and other materials that Bai Yi has never heard of. And this also means that the drawings are good, but they will definitely not be used in a short period of time and can only be kept. Thinking of this, Bai Yi felt a little sad. I got some useless things before, so I just kept them, I didn't care anyway. But the first time I got such a precious treasure, I couldn't use it because of insufficient materials. It was hard to avoid feeling like I had a treasure in vain but couldn't use any of it. Suddenly, Bai Yi raised his eyebrows and looked at the place where the drawings were previously placed, showing a hint of surprise. There is actually a button. Is there any hidden treasure? Bai Yi guessed subconsciously, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he pressed the button happily. There was a crash. A projection appeared directly, turning into a white-robed figure, like some scientific researchers in the laboratory, looking at Bai Yi with a smile and saying hello. Whoever got the blueprint, hello, I'm Harold. Harold. Bai Yi looked surprised. Aren't you the same person before? Yes, that's right, it's me. Harold smiled and nodded. The decryption that opens the tower door is what I left behind. Are you surprised to see me here? It's a pity that only you can see me and I can't see you. After all, this is just a projection. With that said, Harold looked around and said seriously, time is running out, I must keep my story short, and I hope you will remember what I say next. I originally wanted to continue doing more experiments here. But the darkness has come, bringing with it a lot of weirdness, and also those shameful people who have taken refuge in the darkness. 21. We need to make an emergency transfer to the next experimental base. There, we will conduct other research, and I don't know whether it will be successful in the end. But I think you'd better find other dungeon entrances and find ways to find our other two experimental bases. 11. Harold said in a serious tone. In our plan, we will conduct research in three aspects, and the drawing you just got is one of them. In our expectation, as long as the research in these three aspects is successful, we will not only have the ability to resist the evil god, but also be able to kill the evil god. This is a creation that has been made with the entire academic wisdom. Although darkness brings many bad things, it must be said that it also brings us a wave of inspiration. As for whether these three studies can drive away the darkness, I don't know yet, but I think even if they can't, it will be enough to create a beautiful home for the remaining creatures in the darkness. Harold sighed and said, in fact, if the research is successful, many people's idea is to let different people get different research results. Because we cannot put all our hopes on one person, because once that person dies, all the results will be lost. But unlike them, I prefer one person to get all the results. Great power, combined into one body, is the best way to resist darkness. Da da da. There were hurried footsteps approaching. Then, a voice came from outside the projection. Mr. Harold, the teleportation array is ready, we are leaving. Okay, I get it. Harold nodded and responded, then continued to look over and said solemnly. I don't know that you have the ability to resist evil gods and expel darkness, but it doesn't matter if you don't. Staying alive is the most important thing. Anyway, there is hope when you are alive, right? Maybe it was because it was the last moment and there was no need to be so serious. Harold shrugged and said with a smile. If you feel that you are not a match for the evil god, my suggestion is that you can find a quiet place, build a shelter, survive, then marry a few beautiful wives, and then have a few more sons. In case you raise a, you might as well give your hope to such a powerful descendant. In short, if you can come here and get this result, it means you are a lucky person. I also hope you are a capable person. May good luck always be with you. Goodbye. Harold smiled slightly and the projection disappeared. The bunker suddenly became quiet. After a long time, Bai Yi put away the drawings, looked at the empty bunker space, and chuckled. Although I really don't want to put pressure on myself, I won't make any promises. I can only say that I will try to drive away the darkness when I have the ability. Although he thinks this possibility is not high. How can it be so easy to clear away the darkness that has caused even the gods to fall? Being able to build a peach blossom garden after the darkness comes is already the biggest dream. But he will definitely go to the other two experimental bases. Of course, this is currently unlikely. We can only talk about it later. After all, I only know that it is located in a dungeon, but there are so many dungeons and the entrance is not easy to find, so I can only take it as it comes. Shaking his head, Bai Yi took a deep breath, calmed down, and then controlled the character to continue searching here. After confirming that there were no other missing resources, Bai Yi left the bunker and prepared to go to the last tower. As soon as he walked out of the bunker, Bai Yi suddenly remembered something and couldn't help but look back at the entrance and cursed. Oh, I almost forgot. You should tell me where you can find materials like precision parts. Unsurprisingly, precision parts can only be produced by academics. I don't know if Harold was too anxious to leave, so he forgot and didn't even mention where the material was, which made him feel very uncomfortable for a while. Forget it if there is no material. The key is that I don't even have a clue about the material. What a pain in the ass. But the game still has to go on. Bai Yi can only hope that he can find the next dungeon entrance in the near future and discover the academic experimental base inside. It doesn't exist here, so we can only hope that it will exist in the next place. Controlling the character, Bai Yi moved forward quickly and came to the gate of the last tower. This is where academic people mainly do research. Inside are laboratories with different functions. When Bai Yi walked in, he let out a cry, and a figure suddenly attacked him, slashing out with a knife. I knew it. Bai Yi's eyes were indifferent and he reacted quickly. With a wave of his staff, a barrier enveloped him. With a buzzing sound, the knife was easily blocked. The one who unleashed this sword was naturally a double-blade robot. Intruder, die. A cold voice came out. Seeing that Bai Yi could not be killed with one sword, it swung the two swords again without hesitation. But Bai Yi no longer stood there stupidly. As soon as his heart moved, the boots on his feet burst out with a strong wind that lingered on his legs, greatly increasing his speed. He took one step forward and ran out, dodging the slashing attack. When he was about to fight back, suddenly, there was a bang from behind. A dual-blade robot appeared behind him at some point and attacked him. Hey, you think I don't know you are there? Bai Yi raised the corners of his mouth, waved his staff, and used the absorption shield again. He died in this situation last time. When he saw the first double-blade robot this time, he was wondering if there was a second one and was already prepared. I didn't expect it to happen. It can only be said that one learns from adversity. Shadow travel. Bai Yi cast his magic, and his figure disappeared, running towards the outside of the tower without hesitation. Fighting here will inevitably cause damage, so it is better to deal with these two robots outside. Kill the intruder. The eyes of the two robots flashed red, and they followed out without hesitation, and locked onto Bai Yi instantly after coming out. The light converged on the chest, and two straight beams of light burst out. Shadow Energy Cannon. Bai Yi waved his staff and fought back without hesitation. As the shadow sphere flew away, the strong suction force immediately caused the two robots to move closer. At the same time, the straight beam of light was interrupted and collapsed before it reached Bai Yi's location. Under the strong suction, the two robots continued to resist and tried to break free. But to no avail. Holy flame. Bai Yi didn't waste any time and was ready to kill the two robots instantly. The golden flames rose up and roared away like waves of fire, engulfing the two robots in one fell swoop. There was a loud bang. It was also accompanied by the explosion of the shadow energy cannon. The two robots fell apart in an instant. Seeing this, Bai Yi raised a smile on his face, immediately walked towards the wreckage, stretched out his hand to wipe it. Collection is successful. You got Special Rubber X3, Special Alloy X5. Close black lens bracket. The collection is successful. You got X3 Special Alloy, X2 Orichalcum, and X5 Energy Core Fragments. Close black lens bracket. Good. Bai Yi nodded with satisfaction. Although the quantity is small, a little adds up to a lot. The more of this thing he has, the better, and the more he has, the happier he is. After all, in addition to the previous renovation drawings, the new renovation drawings obtained today are also needed. Both of the two renovation drawings require the use of academic materials. What he has now can only be used to transform the shelter. As for the special transformation we received today, we won't need to think about it in a short time. Nor would he have left the material until then. After all, there is currently no clue about precision parts and other materials, and the required amount is not yet available. Even if there are clues, it will take a certain amount of time to collect them. He couldn't wait that long. After collecting it, he returned to the tower. Looking around, there was no treasure box in the entire tower, but it filled Bai Yi's face with a smile. Ha ha ha, none of these three towers will disappoint me, even the last tower is no exception. Although there were no treasure chests, he saw books in many laboratories. There are also various materials piled together. Orichalcum, rubber, core and so on. This is all what Bai Yi needs. With these materials, it has been confirmed that the materials for transforming one's own shelter are basically enough. Without hesitation, Bai Yi immediately stepped forward, walked into each laboratory, and put everything in his backpack. It's a pity that the number of books is still not enough. Bai Yi picked up a book, clicked it and took a look at it, and couldn't help but sigh. He currently has many books in his hands. In total, there are actually more than 1,000 copies, and the total number is probably around 1,002. But there are so many books in every genre. There are more than 300 books in the popular category. There are more than 500 books in the information category. Magic knowledge, 100 books. The rest are various magical and technological knowledge books discovered and obtained by the Academy. These books, as a whole, cannot be considered in the same genre. Although it can be simply used as a study building material, there is a high probability that you will not get a powerful entry. In this regard, it is better to specialize in one thing than to be exposed to both rain and dew. When it comes to choosing the types of books in the study, Bai Yi's first priority is technical books. Secondly, it is related to scientific research. Finally, there are types such as encyclopedia and strange news. But fortunately, he will go to the Dark Elf town next, and there should be something to gain there. Thinking of this, Bai Yi shook his head and continued to search in this high tower. After walking back and forth twice, Bai Yi was ready to leave when he unexpectedly found a bronze treasure box under a piece of cloth. Tisk, the location of these treasure chests is really hellish. Point 0. Bai Yi curled his lips and was glad that he didn't leave directly. It's a bronze treasure chest after all. Bai Yi rubbed his hands and opened it directly. A prompt appeared on the screen. You opened the bronze treasure chest and obtained the synthesis box X1 and the dispersing lantern X1. Close black lens bracket. Depend on. Bai Yi cursed secretly and turned around and left without hesitation. Another useless thing. Whether it's a synthesis box or a dispersion lantern, he doesn't need it. It can only be said that this time Lady Luck did not take care of him anymore. Forget it, just hang it up. With a sigh, Bai Yi temporarily took out the synthesis box and the dispersing lantern, as well as the dual-wielding daggers collected from the dark elves he killed at the entrance to the dungeon. Then close. I quit the game and opened the trading software on my phone. It was still empty inside, and there was nothing there. But Bai Yi didn't care, but found my store in the software. This is a function in trading software. You can hang the items you want to sell as commodities, price them yourself, and then you can turn off the software and play. It will also be notified automatically after it is sold. It's a very useful function. Although he is the only one with the trading module for the time being. But that doesn't mean there will be no one in the future. Considering that he would not always pay attention to whether anyone else got the trading module, Bai Yi chose to put some of his currently useless and low-value things here. The face is hanging. At that time, other players will get the trading module, come here, find their own products and buy them. They will also be able to get the news immediately. Synthesizing the Hakone dispelling lantern was still very rare before. But at present, it is considered average, which is why Bai Yi has no idea of contacting others. As the game time gets longer and longer, some basic props that players should have are available. Only ordinary people will need this after darkness falls. After spending a few minutes to get everything settled, Bai Yi returned to the game. Rubbing his hands, Bai Yi controlled the character and ran wildly in one direction. There is the Dark Elf Town. Dark Elf Town, tisk tisk. I never saw real dark elves in my last life, I just heard about them. I wonder if there is a chance to meet a normal dark elf in this town. A real dark elf, but beautiful and sexy. Unlike other elves, in terms of other elven temperaments, they are somewhat related to elegance and nature. But the dark elf is like a succubus, a little coquettish. Bai Yi is still very interested in dark elves. Although I have encountered them once before, it is obvious that there is still a certain difference in appearance between the fallen dark elves and the normal dark elves. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.